Hey, this is episode 186 of the Collector's Quest podcast. In this episode, we are talking about the world after physical media is over. What is going to happen when you walk into Best Buy or Walmart? What is going to be in the video game section? It's probably going to be something, right? Is it just going to be a wall of download cards, or are they going to try to incentivize us with some other garbage? Tell your mom about the show. Let's go. You ready?
Sure. I guess I could be ready for this.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler, here with Johnny. Johnny, you said you're ready. What's going on?
I'm ready. What's up?
Are we getting right into it? I don't know. I've been looking up the price of Turtles in Time, a game. I won't talk about what kicked this off, but I'm like, you know what? I don't have a complete in box Turtles in Time of any kind. So I know they're expensive. So I just go to eBay to look at Turtles in Time prices. You can get like slightly incomplete ones, maybe a little grungy ones in like the $300 to $400 range. But for like a really nice, very good to near mint one that is 100% complete, it's like $600.
No, you can find a fine one for $500.
You could, great, you can get a fine one. See, this is what I don't like. I don't want to settle for a fine one if I'm spending $500, Johnny.
Well, look, to be fair, there's a really nice one, and it just is missing the poster, and it's only $500.
That should not be missing something.
Unless
$500.
Listen. But this is clearly not the Farley's print. You know, there's a version where the manual has a Farley's fruit snack coupon on it. This isn't that version. So this version may not have come with a poster. So this might be complete. And doesn't matter because Wata doesn't care about posters. Just get this one.
Oh, so you know what? This manual without the fruit snack offer, without the coupon, it's SNES TM USA-1. So is the one with the fruit snack the no dash one? Because then I need the one with the fruit snack, Johnny.
Yeah.
And indeed, the one with Farley's fruit snacks is the first print of Turtles in Time.
Of course,
get your $500 second print out of here, Johnny.
Okay, I'm just going to tell anyone, anytime there's a dumb offer on something that expires after a certain amount of time, that's usually always the first print. So go for that one.
I mean, at these prices, I'm going for none of them, Johnny. And then I
No,
looked
go
up
get it.
Super Famicom, and both in Japan and America, they're over $200. It seems like a lot less common than the US one for some reason.
Would you say you were shell-shocked at the price?
Oh, man, I was a hero in a half shell. I wish I had a pun that I could come up with on the spot. I haven't watched enough Turtles. I didn't want to shred my cash to buy it. I could have invested into a Donatello. I don't know what kind of art Donatello made. It doesn't sound like paintings, maybe sculpture.
The name sounds like sculpture to me, so
he's a Florentine sculptor of the Renaissance period. Wow, Tyler, you do know one of the most famous people ever in history. You did guess his profession out of one of maybe 3 reasonable guesses you could have made.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's anybody out there who doesn't know that the Turtles are all named after master artists.
Well, I didn't know. Are they all sculptors, though? Let's see. Michelangelo, technically a sculptor, but also a painter, right? Raphael? I don't know what the fuck Raphael did. What did Raphael do? Is he a sculptor?
Most of them did all of it.
No,
So,
Raphael's a painter and an architect.
Yes, but I'm saying it's usually they didn't lack the ability. They are more famous for one thing, but to say he has no sculptures might be incorrect.
I'm scrolling through this Wikipedia page for Raphael. I would not say this guy's a sculptor.
Okay, so you think in his whole art career, which was vast, he never did any sculptures?
Is a sculpture something that you just dabble in? Like you take a giant block of marble and you're like, I guess I'll make a masterpiece out of this. But after that, I'm going back to painting.
Okay, so I am not artistic at all, and I have done a sculpture.
Out of what, clay? Also, Raphael died when he was 37, so point in me for him not having fucking time in his life to do sculpture.
Yeah. I don't know what old masters were like. Look, I'm a pretty basic kid. I took an art class in 7th grade. We did some sculptures. I don't know what he had to do.
Someone's gonna send us messages. They're gonna send us pictures of Raphael's sculptures. So we'll know in about a week, Johnny. It'll be fun.
They're like, oh, you don't know? Well, I have a master's in humanities, and boy, let me tell you. Anyways, Turtles in Time is expensive, and Tyler doesn't want to buy it because he's a cheapskate.
Yes, that's 100%. Not at all, because I have priorities and I'm not buying games that I don't like. I like Turtles in Time, but like that genre is just not. I don't know if I've brought it up on this show, Johnny. I don't like beat 'em ups. I like games where you kill things in one hit because that's the most fun. Why would you want to stand there and punch the same guy? It's not fun. I want to feel like a badass. And the person who does that is Ryu Hayabusa.
Okay. So, like, basically all Call of Duties now are beat 'em ups because they don't die in one shot. No one.
I'm thinking, see, I don't remember the Modern Warfare campaign anymore, and that's the last Call of Duty I played. But I don't remember being annoyed that people were bullet sponges.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, in games where things are bullet sponges. So the game I really remember that happening is Black for the original Xbox, where people just take a million hits before they died. And as good as that game is, things being bullet sponges makes it a little less fun.
I agree with you. It is not enjoyable when you're like, I shot you in the face. Like, yeah, walk it off. You're like, no, don't die. That's what you should do.
Yeah. You want to get into some America's Army? I remember America's Army being pretty realistic. You could only take like 2 or 3 hits before you're dead.
I was in America's Air Force, so I don't really feel I need to go.
Oh no, I'm talking about Army. Like the people who actually did the fighting.
I know, it was a joke. It's a joke.
Mine's a joke too. Dan.
The Army did the fighting. You mean the Marines? The Army didn't do any fighting.
I don't even know the difference. The Marines are just Army people on steroids or something, right?
Well, they are part of the Navy and actually like their own thing completely. So you would probably offend all of our Marine listeners out there by saying something like,
I have to remember that like people are listening to this and I can't just offend you, that like someone else is going to be like, you idiot, you don't know the branches of the armed services.
You don't want to tell a Marine that they're part of the Army. That's some highly offensive bullshit. Jesus.
Which part of the Army are the Marines in?
Oh boy. Do you want to move on for this? Because there's no way
give us a good transition. Let's go. I'm waiting to hear it because you're gonna lead this episode, Johnny.
I'm gonna lead this episode. Okay, so what you've done in the modern world would probably get you canceled. So let's talk about modern gaming.
Wow, what a transition, Johnny. Something near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah, modern gaming, love it.
I would say I've got some Xbox 360 stuff just because I was buying a lot of that when it was new.
You mean those retro games for the 360?
Shut up, Johnny. Stop it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant vintage. I've offended you. I just vintage 360 games. Go on.
Even vintage would be the usual definition would be like 20 years, right? Which I guess there's a vintage PS2 game out there. Oh my god. Stop it. Anyway,
I'm sorry. I derailed you.
I don't think I own an Xbox One game. Like I own like maybe 5 PS4 games just because those are the ones I played. So I'm not a big fan of the collectability of modern games. Oh, I'm lying because I have some limited run games. So I do have a bunch of PS4 games.
And you have some Switch games, at least 2 of them.
I've got the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection and Waifu Uncovered sitting right here in front of me.
Which you still haven't
notably not in the same room as my Switch because I have not played them, Johnny.
Go play them.
Thank you for getting them for me for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Why won't you play them?
Well, Johnny, I'm right before you called me, I was sitting here playing Ultima 4.
I know.
That's why, because I've got priorities in both my purchases and my my gameplay. I'm just not. Okay. I'm not looking for something stressful. It's kind of a chill weekend. I want to lay back and play an RPG.
Well, good news. The games we're about to talk about, or what we're about to talk about, has nothing to do with playing. It all has to do with collecting. Yeah, so why don't you talk to me about the collectability of modern games and the future of modern game collecting? Can you speculate?
Yes, I want to talk about the post-media future, because right now you go to GameSpot, you go to Target, whatever you do, you buy a case with a disc. And the disc is worthless right now. Like, everything has to install, everything has to update. It's basically just a license, a physical license is what the disc is at this point.
Yeah, it's copyright protection.
Yes. I'm pretty sure you could still technically play these games if you've never hooked up your console to the internet. So there is some value to the disc, even if like 99% of people will never realize that value at this point. It feels nice that you have a physical representation of the game on a disc.
And you can sell it. You can sell it back.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that transferability of that license. And it sure feels like we are actually at this point on the cusp of that no longer being a thing. We see the PlayStation 5 already has a model without a disc drive. I don't know about the latest Xboxes. Will the latest Xbox have a no disc drive model?
Yeah, it does. It does. And when the Xbox One came out, I think the initial design was going to be, without a disc drive, because disc drives are gross and we don't need them anymore.
Yeah, I remember the Sony commercials that were making fun of there was some Xbox announcement on how you wouldn't be able to lend games. Basically, it was probably because it didn't have a disc drive.
Yeah, they created a bunch of Sony capitalized on the backlash from that announcement of Microsoft saying they were going to make this diskless version or disc driveless version of the Xbox One, and Sony put out some counter advertisement feeding off of that backlash, and GameStop made fun of it, obviously, because that really goes against their business model. There's a lot of good reasons for games to not be physical anymore, but that's not really what we're talking about.
Well, Johnny, do you think that are we in the death throes of the majority of physical media? Do you think this is the last generation where we actually have physical media?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if absolutely are. I hope so, because it's yeah, there's still Blu-rays and stuff. Like, there's some, hangers on, and, there's like CDs. People still buy CDs, I guess. But when was the last time you bought a CD?
Years ago. And I thought I would be physical till I die on music, and even I listen to my music on YouTube mostly now. So.
Yeah. Well, there's just a convenience factor, and storage is, especially when you're a game collector, is at a premium. I would also love for all of this just to be a finite, end. This is the end of physical games. We have to do this other thing now. But I think we're getting close, especially as games get bigger and bigger. And then if loading from a disc becomes too slow and you can't do if you just bought all of your games digitally and you could if everything was subscription models, you could have pre-installs that don't install the last couple lines of code until the day. Then everyone can be playing day one. I think there's a lot of benefits to getting to this future. I think it's probably within 1 or 2 generations, because I don't think kids now care. And GameStop hasn't exactly been successful lately. Despite what their stock price is.
What, $200? I mean, come on.
Well, but despite what it did, but that doesn't mean they're a successful company, right? That doesn't mean they're making money hand over fist right now or anything. They were a major proponent of keeping games physical, and the idea that kids were I need to be able to sell back my games because that's the only way it's value. But now those people who are looking for value in games, oh man, I need to be able to have a lot of games, they're just getting Game Pass, which is an insane value, right? If you get any of these services, you're just paying your $10 or $15 a month, and you have hundreds of games to play. You don't need to be able to sell back your $50 game for $14 to GameStop so you can get a little bit of money back to help you buy the next $50 game. You don't need that anymore. I think those times are dead. So, I think the people who had that argument, I still think they're going to be there, and you're going to be people I need to own the things I want to own. They're going to exist, but I think that market is shrinking, and I think kids don't really have that mentality anymore, because they have so many better options than we had.
I also think every year the value of entertainment is shrinking just because we have more options, and more of them are cheap and more of them are free every single year. It is great. Halo Infinite, the multiplayer in that is just free. That's ridiculous that you could have such a AAA title like that just completely free with cosmetic DLC probably.
Yeah, well, what was the EA games that they were just like, here's all the Tomb Raiders, just go play them. These are awesome.
That's Epic. Epic is just burning money, giving away free games every week. Like one of the more recent ones, they gave away the 3. I don't know if they're the most recent or like the one away from the most recent. The three modern Tomb Raider games, just completely free, all at the same time. Like that's got to be at least like 60 hours of gameplay value if you're actually playing them. I know a lot of people just click add them to their account and don't play them, but for a person who's actually looking for gameplay value, like you can get free or incredibly cheap gameplay in a lot of places right now.
And I like those Tomb Raider games. I like them all. I mean, they're good. If you like some Tomb Raider-y, Uncharted-ish action, you like that style game, these are perfectly acceptable games to be playing. So that's like a super, like, free is a great value, especially when the games aren't like horrible and in fact are pretty good. So yeah, I would think within the next generation, I think we'll probably be moving away from physical media. And I think, especially with the way the license holders have their games now, I think there's just better models for them to make their money.
What they tried to do is they tried to like put in this like these codes that were like the first person who owns this game gets something cool, and I don't even remember anymore. Like what, map packs or something in the Call of Duty games?
You get like a map pack, you get an exclusive outfit. A lot of it was cosmetic nonsense.
Yeah. But now you boot up a game and it's like, well, you get like a little intro screen. It's like, hey, here's all these new ways this week that you can give us money. So it almost doesn't even matter if you have a used game anymore. It's not just like this one-time map pack thing. It's like you boot up a game every time you have a chance to spend money with them.
Well, especially now that every game gets like, when it's got a bunch of DLC, just gets a Game of the Year edition for like $20 that has all that content, which only costs like $2 or $3. Then, like, also, who cares? Unless you're a collector and you need that little card in there.
Sure. So I think we're probably in the last generation of physical games. Nintendo does their own thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the next Nintendo console has some kind of physical media. I mean, it's definitely whatever Nintendo's next console is. I have no idea what it is, but it's definitely going to have a digital only version. Was there ever a digital only Switch or DS or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. There was a digital
DVD player. Could we even play DVDs?
Later versions could. The Wii U, the Vita didn't have, or the Vita had one, I think, that didn't have a physical drive. And, yeah. And the PSP TV, I think, didn't have a drive, right?
Yeah, but that was kind of its own thing. All right, Johnny. So we're in the future. So regardless of what happens, whether it's 5 years away or 12 years away, we're at the death of physical media here.
I think so, yes.
It's already here, Johnny. Besides all the ones you've listed, we have a landmark home console that's already doing it. So it's the Intellivision Amico, by the way. A console that was supposed to be released no matter what at the end of last year, and I'm pretty sure no one has an Intellivision Amico still. Johnny, we're here in the future of game collecting, and Intellivision Amico is trailblazing it. I want to talk about what this future is going to look like over the next 10, 20 years.
I'm sorry, I don't have any predictive models about the future that include the Amico.
What? Johnny, this is going to be a rare collectible because no one's going to have it.
Oh, sure. Should we go into some of the other, like, British microcomputers that no one has and that aren't rare collectibles?
Well, if you go onto the Rare and Obscure Game Console Facebook group, you can see a whole bunch of stuff that I have 100% never heard of.
Yeah. I like that Toys R Us R-Zone. Super collectible.
I got 3-4 more months, and then we could do an episode on that, Johnny. Just
the R-Zone episode.
Hold your horses.
Okay, so go on with this crazy ass line of topic here. Like, what do you mean? Try to justify to me what the Amico's doing.
I can't justify what the Amico's doing, but I could say what the Amico's doing. If anyone doesn't know, the Intellivision Amico is a digital-only console, a theoretical console. It kind of looks like crap and might not release, who knows? But they already released games for it, and you could buy... So there's a lot of weird things. I don't even know where to start. So these games, first of all, they are an NFC card, not NFT. So you scan the card on top of the console, and it basically tells the console to go to a URL to redeem the game. So it's a little license that you redeem, and it puts it on your console. And it comes in this nice...
it has some physical media in order to play your game.
No, it's just a fancy DLC code. It is not physical media. If their Intellivision servers ever go offline, you lose access to download that game. So it is not physical media.
If
in 5 years you will not be able to use these Intellivision NFC cards anymore.
When in 3 years this, the if is if it ever comes out, and then the when it dies is after that. Let's get our language correct.
Yes. And then, so it comes in this nice little box, and then they also include a little, like, aluminum coin or something, just to make you feel good for getting the physical version. But, so this is already something that you would buy at a markup, because it's not just you're getting the game now, and you're getting a little coin in this nice little package. But even that wasn't enough for them to think that they would be able to sell these. So I think there were like 10 or 12 games, and you had to buy them in 2 bundles. You had to buy like 5 or 6 games in a package at a time. You couldn't buy the individual games that you wanted, which is very strange, but they're basically just catering to the idea that anyone who wants one of these is a collector, and they're going to want all of them. So why are we even screwing around letting people just buy the good games? Let's just force everybody to be a completionist. Because
so everybody is just a set collector for this garbage system.
I mean, I guess when there's only 12 games, they're just assuming like, everyone will want all of them. But it's just so tailored towards the collector market that it's basically not even considering that someone would just buy an individual game, which I thought is pretty interesting. But I think that'll probably be the future of physical products, as they're called.
Well, I mean, I think we're already starting to see stuff like this even before them. So the Xbox has, or the Xbox One had a bunch of games that came out where it was just the digital code, but how they tried to get you, it came in its physical case, and these were Best Buy only exclusives. It came in the physical case, it had a code in it, and it had a special coin. So this is before all this. And these were a bunch of Xbox One games. Like, you could get Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order like this, and a bunch of other ones, like Wolfenstein. There's, like, all the top-tier games had this coin system through Best Buy. And you could collect these series of coins, even though you were just buying the digital product.
And so these versions, like Wolfenstein, doesn't have, like, a disc release?
I mean, it does, but, I mean, this was an alternate. If you were buying, like, if you didn't want to have the disc and you want a fancy way to sell you a digital code, which I'm saying it's just a model of, like, Xbox is already, like, trying out things to sell you games without a disc and what that's going to look like.
That's interesting that they also went with coins. Are people just suckers for coins? Are people just idiots? They're just like, oh, shiny.
People have been putting coins in games for a long time.
So dumb. You know what? I'm looking at my shelf. I've got my Oblivion Collector's Edition. It comes with a Septim coin. It's like a beefy coin. It's a nice coin. I got that. I'm like, oh, this $60 or $70, whatever I spent on this was worth it. But I mean, if like a coin comes with every game, it kind of, I don't know. What am I doing with these coins? I'm just keeping them in the case.
You get a fancy album, and then you put all of your coins in your albums, and you're like, look at me. I'm such a good collector. I mean, but it doesn't really matter. It could be a coin. It could be a stamp. It could be anything you want. It could be a card. Like, look at Limited Run. Like, imagine that they just sold the case and then they put one of their special cards in there instead of the disc. It was like a download code, and then you got one of like 3 cards, which could come in like 3 different frames. You could get this one, like, you're getting Bang Brothers or whatever it is.
Yes.
Bang Bros.
That's it.
Pang Brothers or whatever it is. Hope that goes okay with everybody. Anyways, you could get this game, right? And you could have the card, and it's like, oh, this is just the plain one. And then there's like, oh, this is the foil one. And then this is like the metal frame one, which they've already experimented with. Now imagine like their model now just looks like this. I just think that's the way new publishers are gonna to start putting stuff out. You've seen some games on like PS4 for big downloadable games, like, they were popular download only games where they have endeavored to sell you physical media already, where Hollow Knight, right, and Ravel, they sell you, and you see a bunch of these. They come with a plush, they come with a code, and it's wrapped up in a big box like you're buying the collector's edition of the game. But there's just a code in there. It's not really the game.
So I understand we're in this kind of area where, like, I don't know, some 5% of games come out in this download code only thing, and everyone's kind of trying their own thing, whether it's a card or coin or this big huge box with a plush, or that like Neverwinter Nights Baldur's Gate set you got that was just a box of junk. That wasn't a download code though, was it? But
No,
it was
that
basically
was
just a
all
box of
physical
junk
discs.
separate from the games.
Yep.
I can't imagine a future. I mean, this could be the future. I can't imagine a future where I walk into a Best Buy and it's not all uniform cases on a shelf. Like, I can't imagine just like every single game, like, okay, this is Hollow Knight, it comes with a plush, and this is Call of Duty, it comes with a coin, and this is something else, it comes with a trading card. I have to imagine that if we do live in the post-physical media world, that to entice people to collect like sets and like to feel like they're building a collection, they would want something to be uniform. But I mean, maybe this world I'm trying to imagine isn't how things are going to go, but
I don't think we're trying to get people to buy sets, right? I think you invest, like, I think Xbox looked at that, and that's, I think, what the coins are like. If you said this was a series of coins, like, you know, if all the coins are uniform, that's the uniform thing. All the boxes were uniform for that. I think people are figuring it out, but I think the point is these companies know that physical media isn't going to be here to stay, and they know they have partners, like Best Buy, and they're like, how do we keep these people in business? Like, if you go into Target, they don't give a shit. They just got digital codes on pegs, and they're just like, here you go, buy the digital code if that's what you want. And lots of people do.
But are we just going to walk in? So we're going to go basically back to Toys R Us. So instead of picking out the slip from the little blue sleeve, you're not going to get a box at the end. They're just going to like print your DLC code on a receipt. But that's not going to appease the people who are like, physical till the day I die.
Yeah, no, I think that's where I think we're going to move to that area of like most of like there just being codes and pegs as an option for only the biggest titles, because they're not going to print it for everything that comes out. And then you're going to see this separate model for all the biggest titles like that. And they're going to have these like weird collector's editions, and they're going to be the collector's edition for the forever physical people, you know, because even the forever physical people have a bunch of like download games, and they're all like, oh, I love this game, I hope it gets a physical copy. And that will be what these like editions are for those people. Like, oh, finally, I got my physical copy. It's not really a physical copy. It's just a case and like a plush.
I don't know. Is it just me? I mean, I'm a pretty big collector. I don't know if you've heard, Johnny. But like,
Are you? How many games do you have?
I can't imagine everything not being unique. Like, when I look at like what a Nintendo collection looks like in 10 years, whatever Nintendo's new console is in 10 years, like, you look at a Switch collection, it's just a wall of red, everything looks the same. I can't imagine it being this mishmash or a bunch of download cards that you took off pegs sitting on a shelf. Like, there are more than just hardcore collectors who like the look of a shelf full of games, and I think they're going to have to keep that somehow, even for like just casual people who like physical media, not even hardcore collectors. I mean, obviously, they don't have to cater to set completionists and these crazy people who are buying every single Switch game the day it gets released. But I think they're going to have to let you make a display on a shelf of some kind. Or if it's trading cards, make a binder of trading cards or something. Because, I mean, cards are hot. I don't really understand trading cards. What if Nintendo starts including a trading card and it's not the same trading card with every game? You get, like, different parallels and rarities. And like, if you buy Animal Crossing, you might get a numbered out of 100 Animal Crossing New Horizons 2 trading card.
I think that's that's what I was saying. Like, you're going to get like these different frames, and like, that's the way they're going to entice you to buy more and to trade, and like how you have a better collection than someone else. I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to be happening. Also, just talking about Nintendo's uniformity for the Switch, that like wall of red. Yes and no. It is all red, but have you seen all of the like weird box types?
But yeah, so there's so much garbage. But could you imagine every game being like that? Because in that world where you're no longer getting physical media and they have to be like, well, you're not getting physical media, but here's a Hollow Knight plush. Like, I can't like, everyone would have to provide something different. I'm not going to want a plush for every single game I buy. I'm not buying Funko Pops here.
Okay, so imagine this. Here's what I think happens. So you're going to have this big, horrible box, and it's going to have all this dumb shit in it, but then there's going to be a steelbook, and that's the thing.
Oh my God. Did you see the Hong Kong Christmas Nintendo Steelbook?
No, I didn't. What was it?
I don't remember how that. Maybe it was just something you bought. Somehow in Hong Kong, Nintendo distributed a holiday steelbook. I didn't look into it at all. The exciting news was that they made it available for purchase in America. It might have just been available for purchase in Japan. So it's got like holiday themed Nintendo characters on a steelbook with nothing in it. So it's a $40 steelbook that's empty, and you just buy it and you have a steelbook. The fuck do you do with it? You put like another game in there? Do you put your favorite game in there? What is the purpose of it? It lives on a shelf and it's like, well, it was something that Nintendo put out, and not a lot of people are going to have it because it's this Hong Kong exclusive thing, so I've got this Nintendo random steelbook now. Is that it? Is that its whole purpose?
Yeah, this thing is weird. I'm looking at it. What is this?
This is like the download-only games that come with steelbooks. Like,
yeah, well, hold on. No, it don't. Like, I thought it was going to be like, remember they sold those DS cases that were like that too, but you could fit like 10 DS games in it or whatever.
Yeah,
on each side.
At least that makes sense in some kind of utility.
But this is not that. This is just. Oh man, did you buy one?
No, I didn't buy one, Johnny, because what am I going to do with that? Also, man, cutting myself off from buying Switch games, just like, I'm not like collecting Switch hardcore, so I don't have to think about like, oh, FOMO, all this random limited stuff. It's been excellent. Recommend it to everyone.
Ooh, I don't know if you can do that. You're going to have to, I'm going to need you to go buy this holiday steelbook.
I'm like Mario, Zelda, Metroid, and like I didn't even buy the Mario Party. I don't have Super Mario Party, I don't think.
How? You're the biggest Mario Party fan I know.
Johnny, look at the prices of Wii U games. Switch is not going to last forever. In 10 years, I'm going to be picking all this shit up for like $7 because Switch will be so dead and over once the new Nintendo thing comes out. There's going to be so much of it.
I think you're going to be surprised about the collectability of the Wii U.
Shut up, Johnny. That might be the next episode even. Who knows? Do another Wii U episode. Look forward to skipping that one for all you people who pick and choose your episodes.
You mean listen intently about the hottest new collectible on the market? That isn't a Happy Holidays steelbook with like Mario and Yoshi and Peach and winter gear.
Is it still available for purchase? You should get one.
At Nintendo Soup, which I don't know what that is.
That's where you buy it. I don't know what it is either. Maybe there's just some guy who imported them and selling them for $40, and that's why they're so expensive.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think they ship to America, do they? So good luck.
I don't know, Johnny.
I don't know about
this holiday steelbook thing. I want to talk about what we're gonna see. Are we gonna see serialized video games like
one-on-ones? Like, are we gonna start to get numbered editions?
I mean, there are serialized limited editions, like
already.
Command and Conquer 3, I think. I have a serialized Command and Conquer 3 that I got back in the day. But like, what if they do that with every game? They just turn games into trading cards. They're not going to do that. But goddamn, that would be so much fun.
I mean, I would do that not on the case or anything. I would do that on a card in the case, just because like what it damaged, like recreating that individual one would be a pain in the ass for all that stuff. I would just have the card be the serial item.
Yeah, I mean that's more realistic. I want to see Nintendo put like a game card or whatever. Well, no, that would be physical media, right? Yeah, I guess it would have to be a trading card in the case then, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're not going to get numbered cards. Like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could do a numbered like spine or whatever, but that like even Limited Run hasn't started doing that yet. So when Limited Run starts doing that, that's the more like those are the people like applying. That's like a different collectible market. That's like driving sales for our alternative versions. We're talking about catering to the people who still want physical media, even though physical media is dead.
Yeah, and I think so. Limited Run, like they have the bulk of the market. Like they could put out anything, and people will have eyeballs on it. Some of these like startup guys that are competing with Limited Run, I think they have to start doing gimmicks like these. Their only gimmick can't be like, we make fewer games than Limited Run. We only printed 999 of this indie game no one has ever heard of, and you didn't want until we told you there were less than 1,000 of them. Like that can't be a gimmick forever, because eventually once everything is that rare, like nothing is that rare, so nothing matters. But if they only print 999 and there's a 1 of 1, there's a 1 of 10, there's a 1 of 100, and everyone else gets the garbage, like then it's like, oh, well, for $35, do I want to roll the dice for waifu uncovered if they only made 999 of those, Johnny? And get the 1 of 1.
Oh, man, I would so be all over that game if they only made 999 of them. Or 6,900 or 6,969. That's the number of waifu uncovered that they would have to make.
Great, perfect. I also, John. So what are the rarest modern games? Like, is it like 1,000 for like some of these knockoff limited run game companies?
Well, I mean, doesn't like limited run like Poop Slinger, like aren't those the rarest?
That's like limited rare games. Which, guys, it's limited run. It'll come out. That is limited run. It's a joke. They have claimed that like 84 Poop Slingers have sold. First of all, that is a claim by a company that makes jokes and lies all the time. And there's more than 84 that have been produced. Like 1,000,000% there are more than 84 copies. It's just they're sitting somewhere. So that's a really weird thing. But yeah, you're right. So those are probably technically the ones with the least copies available.
Like the holiday ones, there was like the April Fool's one and stuff. There's a bunch of these, like, but more in the mass-produced, limited, less of the jokey ones, more the ones that people could theoretically have actually obtained. Yeah, I think 1,000 is the number, or 1,500. Like those Vita games where there was only 1,500. In fact, they just did. What was that? They just released a zombie game for the PS4 that was like limited to 1,500.
So, in this post physical media world where things are download cards, and it doesn't really matter if you have this huge release, a huge physical presence. I will say, I want to see more like super limited games. So, do you know Hero Trade #1? Comic Tom talks about it all the time. Obviously,
yeah.
What's the print run of Hero Trade 1? Was it like 200 or 300? I want to see a video game that they put out. And it's like, they're not going to do this with, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, but there'll be a game that's like on the cusp of like, we don't really need to put out a physical release of this. But to make some money, why don't we just put out 1,000 special download, or no, 100 special downloading, something like just super limited, just charge like $500 for it. Collectors are stupid. I want more people to cater to just like the stupid market, because sports and comics, they have it down to a science, and I want the manufacturers to cater to just people who are willing to spend money, because the audience who is collecting and spending money on games is only getting older. And I'll reveal what now that we're a little into the episode, what kicked me off looking at Turtles in Time prices. I saw a listing for a $340,000 Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo. If there are people in this market for unlimited money video games, then surely they can squeeze some more than $70 out of some of the rest of us.
Well, what's crazy about that is like, okay, so but you already have a bunch of games that like limited run and stuff that I've done that are super limited, that aren't that crazy in price, that are like new. You also have like the Nintendo Store stuff for the Wii U. Why aren't those worth more then? If someone thinks they can offer 340,000, is this the world we live in where people like? I mean, you have it in the doc, but like, do you think we're going to get to the point where collectibles are going to get so weird and like the print runs are going to be so small that people are going to be day one buying them and like trying to get them graded? Or is this the future we're living in?
I don't know. I mean, I think if they do release like some DVD case with a download in it, like I think they've already done that with Fortnite, and like people grade them. So I bet people do. I mean, that'll be a weird market. I think that would be a really small market. I don't know. But, I mean, it certainly happens with things like cards and games. People get newest cards, rip them, and just send them all to PSA.
I mean, so many people would just buy, like, the newest release comics and just send them off.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, just send it. I know it's going to be a 9.8 right now, so now's the time to send it.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be weird. You see, it depends on what the media ends up looking like at that point. Like, I think grading an empty case with a download code in it is super dumb. I think grading almost anything, well, like the more I think about it, like the more like like grading anything modern, just it doesn't matter. Everything is so fucking mass produced now. Like, what the fuck does it matter, Johnny? But
there are some people already who think that the games that just come with codes right now are already collectible, and they're after those games because they think that there's going to be some value there. There is a bunch of games for the Switch that on top of the box it says, no game inside, code only. And they've got like this white strip across the top that's the only way you can get. Like there's like a James Pond like that you can get that does this. So, I don't know. The world's a weird place. Clearly they're testing out these markets. They like, do we think though that any of these publishers, any of the big publishers actually want to get to a point where games are like that? Because games cost so much money to make, you need to be able to sell them en masse. So do you think that we're actually going to move into a world where they care about the forever physical people? Or do you think it will only move into limited run and already have these models? So do you think they're going to embrace look, your games don't have these drives, so let us take this and package the weird special editions and do all this weird stuff that we're already very good at doing, and then sell physical packages for your non-existent games?
You're asking if they would go to something like a limited run games model? I don't think so.
I don't think the publishers, I think they will offload it to other companies to do that, or they will find that they will, like, it's so successful that they will just make their own version of that.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo specialties or whatever. And like, you go onto the Nintendo site and you buy whatever it is, the hot new game that's going to come out. Here's your like special edition of the game that comes with the special card and these other things. And your download code will send you your download code in your email so you can play the game on day one. Don't worry about it.
I think, there's going to be enough people that are, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s buying these games that are going to they're going to want to have something in their hand, even though we live in the digital future, that the companies are going to do this kind of thing on their own. But in terms of like the weird, like limited, like, oh, let's see what we can do kind of stuff, Konami recently, the other day,
this is wild.
They're like, hey, we're making 14 Castlevania NFTs. And it's just like 14. There's 14 non-fungible tokens. It's not like there's 1,000 of each of them. They're just going to auction them. And they're going to be like, I don't know, we're going to do basically nothing and see how many tens of thousands of dollars we can get out of it.
You, if you want to put up the money, can have Bat versus Axe.
You can, like, to be clear, Bat versus Axe is a small video clip of just someone playing through the first level of Castlevania and killing the final boss with an axe. That is one of the 14 different things you can buy. Wow. Yeah. It's going to be great.
And if you don't understand why that's like an iconic scene, it's because that's basically the Castlevania tutorial. Look, you get these weapons which work really well against specific enemies, like a bat in the air, this axe that goes up. So now you have that moment forever. You too can capture this tutorial.
So Konami, a gambling company, shitty video game company who doesn't make video games anymore, Konami, I think they're clearly willing to try this weird stuff, but like Capcom has Street Fighter NFTs. I think they could be doing something weird and digital in the future, and Capcom's NFT strategy, if you can call it that, is completely different than Konami's, because Konami made 14, and Street Fighter NFTs, there are hundreds of thousands or millions. I didn't get an exact count, but There's clearly over hundreds of thousands. Like you can go spend like 5 cents and get like a shitty Street Fighter NFT if you wanted to. And I don't think like NFTs specifically will be some kind of future for games. I mean, maybe they'll have some weird component. Who knows? Who knows what anything digital will look like in 10 years compared to how crazy things have gotten over the past 10 years in terms of how things have changed. But I think companies are definitely willing to do weird, risky stuff like this with new technologies.
I think we're going to see more of that. That's why I think you're going to see more in-house, like weird specialty companies coming out of them, because they're just going to have divisions that are dedicated to this as they move away from physical media, especially as they find new ways to capitalize on their existing markets. So I do have a question for you just on NFTs. Are NFTs always just like a video screen? Like, is it always a small video clip, or is it sometimes a still image?
It is an NFT. The way it, like 99% of NFTs are essentially a URL and then a little thing that says who owns it. So it doesn't matter that it's a video clip. It could be a link to a video. It could be a link to an image. It's just a link to something.
Okay.
There could be some small amount of data encoded in it as well. But it's basically just a link most of the time to a video or a picture. And that picture is stored on someone else's server. So if the server hosting those 14 NFTs ever goes down, then it will just be an NFT that points to nothing.
Oh, that's cool. So here's my idea for Nintendo.
Okay.
Nintendo, here's your NFT strategy if you're listening. The overworld map to Zelda. Every one of those pixel squares, like if you broke up the very first screen that you see on Zelda, which is, Link standing in front of the, cave entrance and, the couple of the rocks and the trees. If you broke that up into like, I don't know, what is that grid length? Is it like 12 by 12 or something? Like,
okay, so you're talking about each actual screen of the world map?
Yeah. So you break those up into NFTs, each break the screen into an amount, and you do that for the whole overworld map. So if you bought enough NFTs, you could make a full image, and then you're selling pieces of the world of Zelda for the original, and then you do the same thing for Super Mario World 1-1, which is very iconic.
I mean, okay, so you could do that, but I think first of all, I'm in. I'm buying the Zelda NFT, and I think that they should limit it to just one of each overworld tile. So if you don't get that first overworld tile, if you don't spend $100,000 on that, you'll never get it.
That's what I'm saying. That's like everyone has to buy this. Like you might have the shittiest corner of the map, but if you get a couple of them,
you got a corner.
Yeah, you got a corner. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's limited to just those. So I think, I forget how big the Zelda world map is. I once had, I knew how many screens across it was. But how many screens up and down, all broken into these 12 by 12 things. So that 12 times however many screens, that's it. And Nintendo would make so much money, it would be stupid.
That is a super dumb idea that offers no value to anyone, and it is literally a multi-million-dollar idea. Like, Nintendo doesn't need millions of dollars. They would probably tarnish their brand by being associated with, crypto speculation and all that garbage, but they would easily make millions of dollars by doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you get the Zelda overworld map, you get Super Mario World 1-1, see how they go. Those are your pilots. And then see if you need to make any more.
But Series 2, all the Zelda dungeons then, and all the Zelda interiors you start selling.
And that's why I'm saying, that's,
you could do it
your start.
Forever.
Yeah. You could go super deep, and do, the Zelda, world, the flip world after you beat the game. Could you imagine that? People don't even know what those maps look like. They're letters, mostly, just so you guys know. But, yeah, you could have that. You're like, oh, I bought the dungeon that's shaped like a Z, so that's cool.
Oh, I bought the dungeon that's shaped like a swastika. Don't look at zoomed out views of Zelda dungeons, guys.
Yeah, it's an eagle. It's an eagle, Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Which is also related to Nazis and also America, but yeah, not great. It's not a great look. Anyway. Yeah, that's my idea for Nintendo. You could start doing that with Pokemon could start doing that. Could you imagine? When is Pokemon doing this? When are all the original Pokemons going to be their own NFTs and you have to just bid on that first Gen 1 each Pokemon? Could you imagine only one of them existing? How much money would that make?
People are so desperate to find just some next big thing, NFT thing, that you look at the NFT projects, they're all so dumb and stupid and low effort that something like Pokemon or Zelda would absolutely demolish the crypto world in terms of how much money people would be willing to spend on it. But I think companies like that, especially Pokemon, which is such a kid-focused thing, are not going to do anything like this until stigma is gone from crypto and NFTs, which seems like it will probably either never happen or is a long time away before that becomes a thing.
Okay, so you want to hear a way to layer the money making for Pokemon?
Yeah.
Okay, watch it. Okay, so you're playing Pokemon Go, right? You know how you can earn event tickets to go to raids in Pokemon?
Yeah.
So the only way to get a ticket in which to enter the auction to buy the NFT is by playing Pokemon Go.
No, they would need like crypto whales, and the crypto whales aren't going to do that bullshit just to bid on something. What are you talking about?
No. So look, they need the crypto whales, but then all the people playing Pokemon Go, you have all those people playing intensely to get those tickets that they could then sell on the secondary market to people who need that.
You are turning like video games into a job, which is what all these stupid NFT games are doing, which is why they're bad.
Yeah, no, they're all stupid. And I just thought, how could I be as dumb as them? And how could I make it harder? So yeah, that's all I want to do. Just layer the money on top of each other. Just further embed it. I think what's actually happening is probably money laundering.
Money laundering. Johnny,
I'm just saying money laundering because
just say money laundering. Yeah,
just
evidence.
Just say money laundering. Yeah, exactly. Inside jokes, guys. These are the jokes.
I know all these companies like Ubisoft and EA are like, NFTs are coming. We're gonna provide value. And you look at Ubisoft's NFTs, and they're like, if you play 600 hours of our game, you get a mask, and it's an NFT, I guess, and that's cool. I'm wondering if it's a fad, like Toys to Life, and in 5 years, everyone will look back and be like, huh, that's cool. I don't need a Spyro figurine anymore now. I'm on to the next thing.
Well, don't you need a Spyro? Look, how many people mailed off and just bought a bunch of Lay's chips so they could get the mini Skylanders?
I don't even know what you're talking about, but I bet they're worthless now.
So Frito-Lay had a partnership with Skylanders, and they had like these mini Skylanders for a brief period of time where you could then send in like enough chips and then pay like the shipping and you'd get some toys. So it was very reminiscent of like back in the 80s when you would mail away for a toy.
Great.
They had mini Skylanders. I don't think they're worth anything, but I don't know because who's checking in on Skylanders right now?
Yeah. I mean, and that could be all this NFT shit in 5 years.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I know. Send your hate mail to me. Send your hate mail to me, guy who's saying this. Only person on Collector's Quest who definitely has an NFT and thinks the technology is cool is just used for stupid, worthless bullshit right now, including this latest wave of game stuff. Like there is a theoretical future where it'd be like, man, it would be so cool if a license was tied to an NFT and it was cheap to transfer NFTs because it's way too expensive on a lot of blockchains right now. And like that license could be used to transfer ownership of something, except what game publisher would ever sign on to the idea of digital transferable licenses? Like they want you to be stuck with your digital garbage. That's why physical media is going away. That's why Steam has been around for 20 years and they will never let you sell games that you already have in your library. Like, what are you, crazy? They ban NFT games on Steam actually because they want a cut of any money that you're making off those Steam games.
It's true. But I mean, I also think, I mean, we talk about how they don't want you to be able to transfer licenses and stuff, but we did talk about the models in which all these companies are making, and like Xbox and that, like having Game Pass and Switch has like some really bad stuff available. If you pay $100, you get their N64, but like all these digital libraries are more present. So they don't like, I've said many times, people don't want you to own anything anymore. They're going to give you accessibility at the cost of ownership. So just that's just the way I see things going.
Does DC Comics give me accessibility yet? Can I pay them some monthly fee to have access to just everything instead of buying things for like $2 a piece for Silver Age Comics?
I don't know.
What is going on? When is the future, Johnny? I'm not living in the future until I could read all these obscure Silver Age books and not buy them fucking individually. It's ridiculous.
I thought there was DC Universe for a while where you could do that.
I forgot.
Yeah, and then it died. It died like immediately.
Oh, is it gone?
Yeah, so like that's why, because you had access to like their comics and to shows like Teen Titans. Or Titans or whatever was like an exclusive DC Universe show. And I think, no, Doom Patrol wasn't, but I think Stargirl was when it started. And then all those went to HBO Max.
Okay, like, all right, I'm looking at what's available on DC Universe Infinite. I'm just looking at what pops up when I bring up their thing, so it's the most popular stuff. So Action Comics, 463 issues are available. So you're telling me out the gate, like already half Action Comics run is just not there for some reason. Flash Comics, 1 issue. I'm sure it's like Flash #1 or something. More Fun Comics 5 issues. I'm sure you get all the key issues, but fuck, these are stupid Golden Age ass books. Just give me access to them. Who is going to read these? No one's going to ever pay you anything to read the More Fun Comics issues that aren't on DC Universe Infinite. Just give me everything. Marvel gives you like fucking everything. It's crazy how much Marvel gives you.
I mean, and when you buy a lot of physical comics, they still have like these shitty ways to like put codes in, which no one loves. I just wish you could just like scan your comic and just be like, okay, now I can read it. Like maybe not for like a month or whatever, but
maybe these. I haven't looked into DC Infinite. I'm reading like stupid Silver Age shit. Maybe it's a good way to read modern stuff. Maybe it gets you something it keeps up on certain modern runs.
I don't know.
Johnny, back to games. I think another thing that we see in other collecting markets that really hasn't come to games outside of like certain collector's editions is really more super high end and price differentiation. What's the word? It's not price differentiation. What's the word for finding the right price for a consumer?
Usually tiers.
Like tiers, but there's a word that means like getting the most that any consumer is willing to pay for a product.
Oh, okay.
And right now, the only way they do that is by putting a stupid fucking statue with all these goddamn games. But half the people I talk to are like, stop giving me stupid goddamn fucking statues with these games. Like, it doesn't matter that you have the coolest sculpted statue in the world, because I don't want to go through a console generation, and if I buy all the big AAA games in the super limited format, I'm going to be stuck with like 30 of these giant fucking statues at the end, and it doesn't look good. People have nowhere to put them. If you have your one game is Horizon Forbidden West, and you could put that statue on a shelf, that's great. But if you're just like this super hardcore gamer who plays all the games, you can't buy the statue edition of everything and have like this warehouse of statues. So I think they need to find a way to extract the money from the people willing to pay more for Horizon Forbidden West, but without necessarily giving them a bulky piece of garbage.
Well, I mean, I think that's done in two ways, right? For the players, it's like a special cosmetic that says, like, look at me, I spent this money, I'm better than you. And then, I mean, we talked about some of the other ways they can do it. Like, I'm really up for like the card idea. I just want to see people's binders of like their sweet special frames of like, look at how good my collection is. And they don't need like statues are too big. Also, cards are very compact, or coins are also very compact, right? And you have these binders. Nintendo's also tested out coins multiple times, like with the Breath of the Wild and like, what was it? ThinkGeek had like a special edition of coins you could buy and put into a binder. So like they've experimented with all of this stuff. I don't know which idea is going to win out. I think people are tired of like big, bulky, nonsensy special edition stuff. So if you just focus them onto one thing, like this is the thing that distinguishes you. Here's your physical object. Here's your cosmetic object in game. And these are the ways you are distinguished. And it doesn't take up all the room in your house. I think that would be the way to go.
I mean, they definitely have like cosmetics and stuff, but they're never like super expensive. Like no one has the balls to be like, buy our $200 edition. All you get out of it is a cosmetic. Like maybe there are like MMOs or something like that do that. But I mean, think
look at what people were paying for the WoW, like the WoW prize cards for like, do you remember there was a WoW card game, right? World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Back in,
and like
this was really old. This was a long time ago.
Their treasure games or whatever, or their treasure cards, I forget what they were called, but you could find super like unique stuff that people were selling on this for hundreds and thousands of dollars sometimes. So like, it's not crazy to me that if you put something in there that was super awesome, and then you have to also limit it, right? It can't, this is the combination. It can't be something all the peasants can buy. It's got to be expensive enough and limited enough that, that only a few people get access to it. And you have to be able to, like, if it's a code, you have to be able to sell that code. If it's just like physically into your account, then it's worthless because it can never go anywhere else.
What if it's an NFT, Johnny? Oh man.
Yeah. You get this special NFT that is also, a cosmetic. Your cosmetic is an NFT.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Ubisoft is doing, I think. Ubisoft. Yeah. But
You'd
beyond
be crazy
just like,
if you think that's going to work. Get it?
What?
You'd be crazy if you think that's gonna. I'm playing off their name.
Shut up, Johnny. I want to see, like, what's the most expensive limited edition, like, reasonable. There was like a Saints Row $3 million special edition where you like bought an island or something. Like, that doesn't count.
No.
Well, there was Assassin's Creed. Was it Odyssey? One of those Assassin's Creed
like
games.
A $600 statue or something.
Yeah, there was like 9 versions. Ubisoft's like, I don't know, we're throwing shit at the wall. Someone in the boardrooms thought this was a good idea. A lot of those upper end ones are probably rare as fuck. Because like, I bet the second from most expensive one, like, who the fuck bought the second from most expensive Assassin's Creed thing and didn't just jump to the most expensive and prestigious one? I bet like
man,
that stuff's impossible.
$600 is a lot, but $550 is okay.
Right?
I don't know.
That's the only time I remember, even like at all, that they were like, hey, spend like fucking $600 on a regular ass $60 video game. And I think there are so many people who buy like dumb sports cards. Like, video games are big shit, Johnny. A lot of people play video games. I don't know if you know this. And
I do,
people
yeah,
like social media clout and showing things off. I want people to charge $1,000 for a video game and see who the fuck buys it. Make just $1,000 Call of Duty edition, and it doesn't come with like some stupid toy night vision goggles or RC car. It's just you got a case insert, and it's like this. It was numbered out of 10, and we made them for $1,000 each. And whoever has them. And then if you're collecting the full set, I guess you'll never get it if you didn't buy a $1,000 game.
Look, I think video games could definitely do it. There's money to be had there. There are people willing to spend. Like I said, you have to make it limited enough. You need to make it transferable. And like, if it can affect the game and make you like you don't want it to be pay to win, but like that might be a thing that gets people to spend that much money. I don't know.
I mean, it could, but like, it doesn't even need to be that. Like, whatever, you can get like some fancy gold skin in that edition. But like, also everyone who buys the edition is just going to keep it sealed and be like, oh, it's the edition. So,
but I mean, yeah, I don't think you need to even go crazy. Like, I think if you just like put special cards in there and start like limiting it, people eventually pick up. You have to create the market. The problem is the market isn't there yet, and they don't know why it's attractive. So their marketing team has to like really go out and tell you why this is great, why it's good, get a couple people to buy in, and then like, oh yeah, we're just buying $400 games because it has these special super limited cards in it. Like I said, it has got to be limited. It's got to be transferable. And like, once that cutoff's there, like, you start hard in on that, and then people will start to come. Like, look at Magic the Gathering right now. Do you know all their secret layer stuff I've shown you? Like, look at that. People go and spend garbage. Like, they're like, oh yeah, we're just doing constellations right now. Hey, here's a basic swamp, and it's the constellation Capricorn. And every month we're gonna release, a new constellation, and it's gonna be a basic land. There's 5 of them. Give us $50 for that.
Just so everyone knows, Magic the Gathering card game, usually you spend like $4 in a pack of 15 cards. And they have just started releasing these little mini sets of like 5 special promo cards for like $50 at a time. Yeah, and they're all like super cool things that you would want, but it's 5 pieces of cardboard for $50 at the end of the day.
And for in this specific instance, these lands, these are basic lands, which people will just give you. They're free. If you go to a tournament, there's thousands of them just sitting there. You can grab a handful. They are required to play the game, and they are always free. In fact, you can like, usually in case dire needs, I think one of the only things you're allowed to proxy is a basic land if something goes horribly wrong at a tournament.
I'm sure they would just give you one.
Well, like I said, I've heard of instances where something happened to all of them, so they had to like proxy a couple. But that's how basic the lands are, that they're called basic lands. They are required to play the game on the most base level. And here they are. We're like, oh, we're just going to do 12 different designs for each constellation. And it's not for all 12, it's $50. It's $50 and you get 5 of the same one. And then next month, you get the privilege of paying another $50 for the next one, and so on.
You can pay more for foils too. Oh my God. They look so cool though. Yeah. Like, I hate how much I like the secret lair stuff, because like the whole thing in trading cards is like, is it rare and does it look cool? And that like every secret lair is rare and looks cool. Well, maybe so many people buy them that they're not rare. I don't even know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you need to like create that market, and it can be done. That's why I'm using this like for these cards. Like if you did something like that, then like people will start to see the value in it, because people are willing to pay $50 for just these cards that they can get anywhere for free. They're going to pay this $50, and that's how much basically a video game is. So of course video games could do it.
Johnny, I want to see more $1,000 video games. I can give one more example. I'm not like buying this shit. I just think it would be very interesting and would create a whole new dynamic. Like, just look at the secondhand market for NES games. There's always been, I'm going to say, a soft ceiling at like, $2,000, like over $2,000, unless it's like the tippity top of some NWC, some sealed stadium events, something like over more than a couple $1,000 is just absolutely insane for a video game. And now, since that was like smashed 2 years ago, people are just going on heritage auctions, spending tens of thousands of dollars for shit that used to be worth nothing. So I think once Konami, it's going to be Konami, and I'll bring up another example. Once someone breaks that barrier of like, hey, we made 10 of these games and sold them for $1,000 each, then we're going to see more of it. And I just want to see that market and what it turns into. Maybe it never happens. I don't know. I don't think it happened with Blu-rays. Does it happen with music? Are there $1,000 vinyl records because they're so rare?
Yes, I'm sure there are.
We'll ask Lord Hardstyle Z later. And so my other example from Konami, shitty gambling company that is willing to do anything to get your money. Another thing they did in trading cards is they released a metal Blue Eyes White Dragon to Yu-Gi-Oh collectors, and I think it came in a little frame, and they charged $1,000 for it. And I don't remember, I think they made 1,000 of them. I wasn't like super paying attention to this, but it's just one fucking trading card, and it's $1,000 brand new. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense that I don't understand it. It's not even that limited, like limited to, I think it was limited to 1,000. That's like, that seems like kind of a lot for something that's a product from 2020 or 2021. But I'm sure they sold out of it.
Probably. Why wouldn't they?
I bet you know what? I bet it's worth more than $1,000 now. Well, I mean, that's a bad example because we're in like crazy speculation times. But, yeah, it's the Masterpiece Series Platinum Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's sold out in seconds. Seconds!
Oh my God. Why? Did you find out if it's still over $1,000?
There's like 1 trillion of them on eBay. What a surprise. It looks like...
you mean everyone bought them to resell them?
No way! Crazy! Yeah, it looks like they go for like $3,500, $4,000, something like that.
It's crazy to me. Everyone bought them to resell them, and there's still like a premium markup on that.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how can you just release a product that intrinsically it's just a card that's essentially worth nothing? And they just charge $1,000 for it. But because they charge $1,000 for it, that makes the secondary market want to pay even more for it.
I mean, that's where we are in the market today. I mean, we're getting a little far away from like what is going to happen to video games when physical media dies. But yeah, the world we live in is everybody wants free tendies, right? Like everyone wants to buy something and then have it be worth double what they paid for it. Yeah. And that's just not what the world. That's not what the world is. Most things depreciate, not just like instantly flip and gain in value. You're like, every dollar I spend becomes $5. That's insanity. And people like that should not exist. That's where hyperinflation, where everything is going off the rails, is that people think that this is a sustainable idea, and they expect it in their collectibles. It's madness. Absolute madness.
Johnny, I think they released 1,000 in Europe and 1,000 in the US just to double the supply. Oh my God. $200,000 selling 2,000 trading cards. Fucking geniuses at Konami is what I'm telling you. These 14 NFTs, if they don't make at least $500,000 off them, I will be surprised. Geniuses. Man. Konami, just the shittiest company ever. Do it. $1,000 Castlevania in the next 5 years. I want to see it. And they're not going to make a new one. Konami doesn't make new games anymore. I just want them to release like an IM 8-bit cartridge of Castlevania. I want them to make like 100 cartridges and just be like, $100, $1,000 each. Good luck, guys.
Man. Can you imagine if they do that? If they like limit to $1,000 and they re-release Castlevania, in like what is it? Not IM 8-bit. Yeah, IM 8-bit. Like they released that to IM 8-bit, like Mega Man 2 was released, and then I'm gonna be like the asshole over there, being like, "Oh my god, do I have to buy this for my Castlevania collection?" Ugh.
I think they're like all that IM 8-bit stuff. I think that they're going to play with the numbers until they figure out how they can squeeze the most money out of people. And personally, I think it's going to be increasing the price to get some crazy super high-end market of things you can never get. Like IM 8-bit, they started out, the IM 8-bit Mega Man X is still in stock. They made, I think, 8,500 of them. Clearly way too many. But like those Earthworm Jim ones, they put down to like 1,000 or 2,000, I think, right? And
yeah,
I don't know how many Aladdins and Lion Kings they made. I'm sure it was less than 8,000. So,
but they're sold at Best Buy, so who knows?
Yeah, Atari recently released 3 unreleased games, and they're limited to 1,983 copies. I don't think they'll ever sell that many. But they're charging.
Have we talked about how shitty those are?
How shitty are they?
Well, like how their box art is all wrong and stupid, and like
did we ever talk about that? So
I don't know.
I like this low effort for high money thing. Are those $150 each or $50 each?
I don't know. That's a you question, man.
So let me go bring those up. I really like these.
Did you find them yet?
It's Atari.
Did you find them yet? Did you find them yet?
Okay, yeah. All right, it's $50 for the shitty poor people version, but $150 for the limited edition of them, which comes in a bigger box with like a patch and a poster.
Oh, I'm glad the boxes don't fit even more now. Thanks for making the box bigger. Why?
Okay, so only the limited editions are limited to 1,983 each.
Oh, get it? 1983, get it? 1983.
The thing you were making fun of is that their mock-up box art for all 3 games looked entirely different. Like the Atari logo was different sizes on all of them. The size of the art was different on all of them. I think they fixed it though.
Did they? Oh my god! Like that was like some basic bullshit. It's not like there's a lot going on in the boxes to mess up, but all of them were messed up. You're just like, wow.
Yeah, like someone, maybe the page said it wrong, but like someone said like all 3 of these games were made by Howard Scott Warshaw, and they were not. Like there's just some weird stuff. I think Saboteur is a Howard Scott Warshaw game, but Aquaventure and Yar's Return are not. Anyway,
it's really bad. It's really bad, guys. Don't buy those.
All right, I thought the base version was $150. If they had the balls to charge $150 for like an aftermarket Atari game, like
they should
get people's money. Just start ripping people off. That's this episode. I'm just me wondering out loud, why are the game companies not ripping off idiots? Because Konami's willing to do it with NFTs and trading cards. Konami, get your shit together. Stop releasing this limited run games, Castlevania shit. Also, Konami with the limited run games. Man, Konami will like go do anything to get that collector market.
They will.
I want them to rip people off even more.
This episode was supposed to be what happens to physical media, or what happens to video game collectors after physical media dies, and it became physical media is dying. Here's a good way to get ripped off.
Yeah, hopefully a Konami exec is listening to this.
Yeah, I think my Nintendo idea slaps. So, the exec should take that and just make all the monies. Also, Pokemon, if you guys are listening, NFTs of Pokemon, how have you not done this? Get them, auction them. Oh man, all the people who got to catch them all and also have big money. How is Logan Paul not going to buy that NFT?
I mean, if you're going to buy like a monkey with snot coming out of its nose, like how much are you going to pay for your fucking Pikachu?
Yeah. Also, why is every NFT like the worst, stupidest art you've ever seen? You're just like, wow, look at this bad art that a computer made by itself. Let's definitely sell it for a lot of money. Oh, now change the color of it. Now it's got a new color palette. More money, please.
I think it's because the only ones that people care about are the first to market. Because I mean, there must be like 100,000 new series of just like these trading card style NFTs every single day. So the only ones that matter are the ones that were first, and the ones that were first were kind of shit. So that's just what the mind share is stuck with, right?
Oh man, I can't imagine being stuck with that stupid fucking ape with a twirly bird hat. Also, You know how much I dislike primates.
Yes, I think they're also really good at marketing. I think. I mean, I'm sure they've made a lot of money on it, and so they could spend a lot of money marketing it with celebrities and all that. It's like Yacht something. They're
the worst.
I watch YouTube videos and people bring them up. I'm like, man, these guys are getting their NFT shit out. Even if it's people complaining about them, like we are right now, like they are good at getting people talking about their dumb bullshit. Haven't heard as many people talking about those crypto punks. I don't know what's the difference and which one came first. That's the other one that people talk about, but I think the apes are getting more press time.
Ugh.
Is anyone going to care in 5 years? No, but you know.
I hope not. Anyways. Do we have more to say on this topic? Have we just diverged so far from our original plan?
I don't even know what this episode is anymore, Johnny.
All right, well...
You know what we haven't talked about? You brought it up briefly. The complete set of video games. That could be on the horizon.
Yes, I want it to be. I've wanted this forever. Like, it can just be done. Like, you can now know what all the video games are to buy and start doing it. You could be the ultimate completionist.
You could. Especially Nintendo. So eventually Nintendo, like either they're going to just stop selling physical media or everything's going to transition to a download code and collectors, like some large percentage of collectors will be like, fuck that. And you'll be able to own literally every Nintendo game that came out in the US, which Dream TR has right now. But
maybe he does. Who knows?
Yeah.
Does he still do this?
Yeah, I saw him. No, I see him in Facebook groups, and sometimes he posts want to buy stuff. I saw him like post a want to buy for like a Super Nintendo game. It was like a Syndicate or something. I'm like, come on, Jason, you have a Syndicate. What are you doing with this? What's going on in your world? I don't actually talk to Dream TR. I'm just an online stalker, but wondering what he's doing with his games he's buying.
Yeah, I do want the set though. Like I don't think I will ever obtain it, but I want it to be a thing that people can dream about obtaining.
And so I think, obviously, when that happens, like having every physical Zelda, every physical Mario, even just like the ones on like the main Nintendo home consoles and stuff, like people aren't going to be buying like Mario Teaches Typing, I don't think. Like some people probably will, but I think it's going to be more popular to get the full set of that because it will be a complete set at that point.
Yeah, I agree.
But do you think, like, is there going to be some group of people who starts like, in 5 years, Nintendo's like, no more physical games ever. This is it. Like, does stadium events get more expensive at that point? Because now all of a sudden there's this group of people, like it could be like 5 people who get like stars in their eyes. Like I could own every physical Nintendo game. Now's the time to do it because everything's only going to go up forever. As we say on Collector's Quest, prices only go up forever. Does that make something like stadium events more expensive?
Maybe, but probably not. I think the people who want it are still going to be the people who want it. I mean, if we're not accounting for inflation, like, yes, the cost of stadium events may go up because people are paying more money for games in general, so it'll see like a creep that goes along with the market. But if we're saying like it starts to like exit, like, 2x in value or something because of it, I don't know if it'll get that kind of momentum. But hey, in Collector's Quest, we like to be wrong. So buy your stadium events now before 2x's.
If so, like Nintendo, if they come out and they're like, here's the Switch 2, no physical media, then I would seriously look and be like, I gotta buy Wii games. I gotta go get some Switch games. Because then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, there's only so many Nintendo games ever. I could own, maybe not all of them, but I could own 95% of them.
Yeah, I still don't know why Nintendo hasn't done a thing where they're just like, hey, it's the 30th or 50th anniversary of the Nintendo, obviously, because the 50th anniversary hasn't arrived yet, but they're like, we're reselling all the Black Box games in this special box set. Come and get them. Because if you look at things like books, they are constantly re-releasing them. Yes, but books are their own console unto themselves. You pick it up and you can use it. But like, why haven't we seen that for like video games? I mean, we see ports and stuff and like, but like just like a nostalgia piece, like.
I mean, they literally do. That's NES Remix. That's their version of doing that because they think they can make more money doing that than releasing Nintendo cartridges.
Well, I wonder if that remains true though. Like if they did like a special limited edition on like the Nintendo store, or if they did the Black Box games, right? But all with gold cartridges or platinum cartridges or something, painted, obviously not real material, but like, I'm just surprised we haven't seen something like that.
I think like the game collecting market who cares about that kind of thing is pretty small, and Nintendo makes so much money off things like Amiibo that they don't need to think about us, the old school game collecting market.
Maybe I'm just, I just like look at all the other media and how it's released, and like you see just like, oh, and this is the 50th anniversary of this, so we did a special re-release of it. And like, even if it's like a record, like not that many people have record players, but they did like a small release of like, here's some new albums of this old album, and you can pick it up and buy it now. I'm just surprised we haven't seen it.
I mean, I wonder if that would cause like a spike in NES console prices if like Nintendo actually released new NES games. It's never going to happen, Johnny. Nintendo is too conservative of a company. That's too obvious for them, I think.
Maybe.
They got their NES classics. They make so much more. See, that would like eat into their digital sales, because if they make, even if they make like a pretty limited weird thing of like real NES games, then all of a sudden people are like, oh, I could buy an NES and start playing these games again. And that would eat into their sales of all the times they want to digitally re-release these things and make you buy it digitally.
I don't think so. I think people are just in it to win it, and we'll buy all of it. Now, since we've talked about Konami a lot, why hasn't Konami re-released the silver boxes? Like, fine, Nintendo won't, but what about Konami? Do they need, because it's Nintendo seal of quality, like, and the cartridges are a specific thing, like, do they need the rights to do that? I bet they do. And that's why it hasn't happened yet. But could you imagine if Konami did a special silver box edition and then brought in all the PAL games that had silver boxes over too, that were like Palcom and all that other bullshit in other territories, and like, but put them out in silver boxes for America? Oh man, re-releases of those, with silver boxes, let's do it. Get American releases of them.
I mean, I bet that's something they might think about. They probably just think they can make more money releasing like Switch compilations, because what do people love? People love Switch games, people love retro compilations.
I bet it's licensing on the card. I bet they because Nintendo owns those designs, like they cannot physically do that without spending a bunch of money. There's so many
companies that release Limited Run Games releases other Nintendo cartridges.
I guess that's true, but no one. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, we could talk about these companies with like priceless IP. Like Nintendo, you could say like, why doesn't Nintendo do this? It's because Nintendo doesn't have to do anything, and they still pull in like all the money for doing the bare minimum.
True.
Of course you could slap Pokemon and Nintendo on some stupid shit, and they would print infinite money. But you know what? They've also done that 100 times. They made Mario Kart RC cars and sold them for like over $100, and you need to buy 2 to race them, and people were like, yeah, I'm gonna buy the AR Mario RC cars. I'm Stephen Reese, of course I have that.
I didn't buy it.
Yeah, you didn't buy. I didn't buy it either.
I didn't buy it.
But
okay, so is this where we are? Are things dead?
No, I don't know. I'm not interested. See, I think game collecting is boring right now, because just re-releases and all this junk. This is a wish list of things that I would want to see for game collecting to be interesting. Not even in the I will buy games again. In the like, I could just look at the market and be like, whew, that's some crazy shit. No, we can move on, Johnny. I don't even know what this episode was. I follow a lot of collecting categories, Johnny, and you look at sports cards, and it's the craziest thing. There are like just sports cards that will be like 3 different levels of a box you could buy. And there's like the poor people box. There's like Prism is like the normal box that people buy. And then there'll be like the high end box. It's like $500 just for 1 box of cards. And it might have like 10 cards in it. And it's all just pieces of cardboard. And, and they're new. It's not even like some vintage rare collectible. And people are just like, okay, this MSRP was $500. So these are the exciting rare cards. And this MSRP was $150 a box. These cards are okay. And just like people go with it. And I can't believe we haven't seen more of it in games.
I don't think everyone still acknowledges that games are a collectible thing. People still think games are just to play. Like things like sports cards. There's only one thing you do with them, and that's collect them.
Yeah.
Right? And potentially make money. So I don't think people have fully embraced that games are a collectible thing. They're getting their, like lots of people have. I'm not saying that they're not acknowledged as collectibles, but I don't think all of the mind share is there yet, like something like sports cards is. Once you get there, though, I think once people, and I think you will see it more, as we talked about in the episode, when physical media dies, then I think people will have to gamify it a little bit and then make a reason for you to go buy a box of something when the game is just a digital download.
Yeah. All right.
And I think that was maybe our point for the whole episode.
Yeah, that would have been what we could have. Maybe the whole episode could have been about that if we had more focus, Johnny. But man, yeah. Konami's doing some stuff, right?
Konami, yeah. Hey, get your pachinko machines, your NFTs, your limited run Konami stuff. What else is coming? Hey, I got a sweater for you. You guys want to buy some clothing? Also, we sell drugs now. Why not? Not like
does Konami
drugs.
sell? I would believe you if you told me Konami sold drugs. It's kind of like a small little pharmaceutical branch, you know.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Buy your Dracula crosses today. All of our pills now come, in cross-shaped, just so you can have it.
Johnny, we're moving on to the collector's questions.
Are we? Oh my God, you remembered it. You did it, Tyler. All right. Round of applause.
I brought it up last second. You started rambling, and now I can feel like I actually had it. Kanakis asks, what are your top 10 favorite sets to collect and why?
Our top 10. That is
too many.
10.
We can use a smaller number. Jesus.
3. Like most people, Kanakis, you're a madman. 10?
That's like more than an episode's worth of talking.
Yeah. Let's talk like in not very much detail, our top 3 favorites. Tyler, go ahead.
I don't even have to pick 3. I could just say NES and Sega CD are my favorite sets. I've said for a long time, like, once I completed those sets, like, I don't have stadium events. I don't have a lot of, like, the crazy rare unlicensed NES stuff. And, like, my NES set is loose. But those 2 things, I completed Sega CD in 2018, I think. 2019, maybe? And yeah, everything since then has been gravy. Like, if push came to shove and I had to get rid of everything else in my game collection, I think I would obviously keep some of my other rarer, exciting stuff on other consoles. But those would be my my 2 favorite consoles, because I do think they're some of the most fun to collect and some of the most interesting in terms of playing. And like, Sega CD wasn't like some historically important crazy thing, because a lot of that FMV stuff is not where gaming ended up going, but there's some wacky games, and I think it's a fun console to play because it's unlike anything else except for kind of 3DO.
Okay. And I'll give you Stephen Reese's answer. He would keep Super Nintendo and 3DO.
That's true.
He would only keep 2. For me, as I've said multiple times, Super Nintendo, obviously, that's like number 1. Other people don't really know. Saturn is one of my favorite things, not necessarily even to play, but strictly from a collector point of view. That was the first set that I like. I mean, I said, I want to get all my Nintendo games I ever played, but Saturn was the first one. I'm like, I think I could buy every game on this system. So let me go ahead and get that.
I'm just going to go. You hear.
Yeah. Well,
Saturn, that sounds easy.
Collector brain kicks in. I mean, I started collecting in 2004. I'm almost to 20 years of collecting video games as a collector. So yeah, I was just like, yeah, Saturn, I could do that. And I love my Saturn set for that reason. And that's probably actually 3rd. And I'm unsure about Nintendo, like NES. I love my NES stuff, but I don't know if I care about the whole set of NES. I love all of my favorites there. Like, Super Nintendo was always the idea of everything. NES is hard. I do love it. I think it's my 3rd one. And if I had to go to a bonus one, a 4th one, NES is probably actually before Saturn, then Saturn, just because there's so many games I love on the NES. But I think 4th is PlayStation 1. I loved collecting the PlayStation 1. I loved when I finished that. I like how compact it looks on my shelves. I just think it's really awesome to look at. But if we were stripping everything else away, if I was keeping only the one, it's Super Nintendo.
Hey, you don't want to fill out numbers 6 through 10 on that, Johnny?
Ooh, Sega CD after that. Or no, Genesis, Sega CD.
Stop, just
Genesis.
God damn it.
Where does Sega Pico fall in that? Probably not my top 10. Outside the top 10, also some bonus items. Virtual Boy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going down this list.
Johnny, what are the easiest sets to collect in 2022? I'm editing that to say from 2021 because this question might be 3 months old. But easiest sets to collect.
Right
I don't
now?
think you should collect the easiest sets. Is what I'll say.
Yeah. Also, I think a lot of sets are easy right now. Well, maybe not easy. Huh. What do you think? Like N64 still strikes me as pretty easy of like cartridge-based systems because it's not that big.
Yeah. So I don't think we brought it up. So I was complaining. You know what I'm doing. About
talking.
N64 prices versus Super Nintendo prices. And I'm guessing, I haven't looked into it. I'm guessing the bulk garbage on N64 is more expensive just because more people go for the set because it's so much easier to get a set than a full Super Nintendo complete in box set.
Yeah, well, I think because there's so many games on the Super Nintendo, the middle ground still isn't very well known.
And like people don't even try at that point.
Yeah, they're just like, there's so many, there's 700. And a lot of it was super expensive. I think more people tried for the Genesis set because it was more affordable, so people could like kind of get into it, especially when Nintendo stuff was all like hard to find.
Yeah.
But N64, I think, was like hey, there's a lot of this stuff and it's still out there, so a lot of people just went and did it. So I think N64, like especially if you're doing card only, is like pretty easy.
Yeah, and like Wii U, but like I'm like if you're gonna ever want a Wii U set, like just go do it now.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. Like I'm talking like old sets versus like a modern set. Obviously, Wii U is like the thing.
Yeah, it's just I think in terms of spending money on like wisely right now, I just don't think that getting like what does a Wii U set cost? $3,000, something like. I'm just making that up. I have no idea. $2,000. Like if I was going to spend $2,000 on games in like because I'm worried that prices are going to go up on it, Wii U might not be my first choice compared to I don't know some other like rare Nintendo thing or something that people don't have as many eyeballs on. I can't even think of an example.
Yeah. I would say definitely don't collect a set because it's easy though. Not even because you said don't collect easy sets, but I'm saying don't collect a set because it's easy.
Yeah, no,
collect a set because you love it.
If like NES complete in box, if I was ride or die NES complete in box, I would rather buy 3 complete in box NES games over the entire Wii U set. That's not me personally. I would rather have the Wii U set, but I mean, I think you should get the thing you like the most.
Yep, absolutely. Like, buy the thing you're going to treasure and, like, you enjoy owning, not just because it's easy. Like, you could still go get Sega Pico, not too hard. Virtual Boy, not very many of them. You could just spend some money and get it pretty quick. Lots of people sell sets, especially if you want card only. There's a lot of easy sets, but don't.
Card only Virtual Boy is easy. The Jack Bros has been up there in price, hasn't it? I mean, it's always been up there.
But when you only have to buy, like, 14 games, who cares?
There's a Jack Bros on eBay first buy it now, $3,000.
Holy shite.
Right under that is brand new Japanese version for $82, 15 sold.
Yeah.
Japan is easy, guys. Except when it's not. Oh my god, Jack Bros must be one hell of a case pack game in Japan. There are so many listings for new copies for like 60 to 80.
I said Sega CD, I meant Sega 32X.
Yeah, I made a Retro Gem Miner video of all like the quote unquote easiest sets to collect, and the joke is that they're all just the best sets to collect because they're small and inexpensive. So like 32X, great. Go get it. You'll feel really good when you're done. You'll be like, wow, I sure do have the 32X set.
Yeah. Unless you believe it's part of the Genesis set, which you should, and then you just go ahead and go get those.
Johnny, Dork Overlord asks, what is the most interesting item you've ever seen in anyone's collection?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, in person or
probably just ever. I don't go and see a lot of people's collection in person.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, this is going to sound weird, maybe, but I don't care about ancillary items. I know like a lot of people do, like a Nintendo World cabinet or Nintendo World, whatever they're called, the Nintendo cabinets, the Nintendo World Store. What is that cabinet called? I forget what it's called exactly.
The World of Nintendo cabinet?
Thank you. World of Nintendo. Fuck. My brain. I'm sick, guys. So forgive my brain for being a little foggy. Yeah, I don't care about those, and I don't care about the signs. The Power Glove sign is pretty interesting because there's only like 2 of them. Like I've seen, like people have lots of interesting stuff I've seen, but I don't care about that stuff. I like complete sets. I like whoever has the most complete sets is like super interesting to me. Like I want to see that stuff. So like Dream Tiara's collection, I would say would be probably pretty interesting to see if it wasn't all in like weird places. Like if it was like displayed properly. What's his name? The Last Gamer. I hate to give that guy any credit, but I would love to just like walk through it and check it all out. That would be interesting for me. That's like, I would love to go, he who must not be named, Dennis Kahn. I would like to walk through his basement, and like look at that and all the signs. Like he's got a bunch of interesting stuff in there just to see. Like I find that stuff to look at. Stefan Reese has an excellent room to go look at, but like there's no one particular item. It would have to be like some weird prototype or game I've never heard of. It's just what interests me is not exactly like one specific item. It's more collections of things and like how you obtain them and kept them together.
Yeah, I agree. I think the things I get most excited for, like you, are generally not one of a kind things. And I mean, there's the whole prototype community, which even those aren't one of a kind though. But I don't know. I see like a rare game. I see a complete in box Sculptor's Cut I saw on Instagram today. And it's just like, hell yeah, dude. Sculptor's Cut manual. That's a hard thing to get. Like, obviously, that's not like a one of a kind thing that only you have in your collection. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. But obviously, that is a super hard thing to get that completes someone's collection. And it's really easy to get excited when you see that. If I had to pick something, I mean, I think just based on being the most interesting item, it would have to be a one of a kind thing. Frank Cifaldi has a prototype Super Mario Brothers Famicom cartridge with pre-production code, so it's not the final code, and I think he bought it for like $200. So
that's pretty good.
That's probably the coolest thing. Like other things I think of are Stefan's childhood cartridge that he found on Instagram, which makes no sense to me how he could have got that. That's like one of the craziest things I've ever heard of.
Stefan's whole collection is like pretty interesting. If you're interested in like one-on-one stuff, especially if you like Nintendo Power stuff, like that's just like the track and field shoes, because that cover I always thought was so stupid, like with the shoes on it. Like seeing the actual shoes was pretty interesting for me. Like that's like pretty interesting. There's lots of stuff like that. The fact that like the Mega Man clay things still exist from that cover, that was pretty interesting. Like the Dr. Wily ship, like that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's like one-on-one stuff doesn't like. Yeah, I like games. That's my problem. I like games.
Johnny, I got one more for you.
Okay, one more.
You've already mentioned a bunch. SNK 2D Forever. Call me Chris. That's his Instagram name, or his stupid Discord thing says "Call me Chris." Chris asks, if there was a Mount Rushmore of video game collectors, Johnny, who would be on it? Now. Oh. Remember, Mount Rushmore only covers like what, half of U.S. history. I don't know what Teddy Roosevelt's like 1901, right? So we're not going to get into the super modern, maybe.
Oh,
but who are the fancy people? Like Antonio Monteiro, whatever his name is, like the guy who currently holds the Guinness World Record for most game collections.
Absolutely
I don't think he's
not
on Mount Rushmore.
No, he's not. He's nowhere. Oh, I mean, man, it's a hard question. I have such distaste for that, like the way it was presented. Like that was like it's like me presenting my collection.
He's got a lot of video games. Come on, that's a cool collection.
I could go spend but like him being the top. Like I don't feel like his collection is unobtainable to me. I feel like I could go spend $5,000 and have more games than him. And that's the problem.
$5,000 to have, like, what does he have? 25,000 games. I think once
I thought he was only. Wasn't it? I thought it was 14,000 was the number. Did he like?
Oh, there's no way it's 14,000. I bet VGDB could beat 14,000.
Maybe he could now, but he was below that for a while.
So the last count in 2019 was 20,000. So I bet it's probably in the low 20,000s.
I mean, but think about how many Famicom games you can still buy for nothing.
Yeah, there's only 1,000 Famicom games.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's true. But
I mean, if you really min-maxed it with just like dollar per game getting garbage, like all the Wii games, all the Japanese Wii games, all the PAL Wii games, like yes, you could easily beat it for not a ton of money, but it would still probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to get.
I don't want to say
200,000 or 20,000.
I don't want to say it's not impressive because it is. It's an impressive amount of games, but the display was so awkward. It didn't feel like he loved it. Like maybe he does, and that's just the space he's dealing with. But I didn't like. If you are the best, you've got
Johnny,
the
look at
Guinness Book
you've
of
been
World.
in my stairs. I don't have a good display.
That's not true. You do have like it nicely set up in the space that you have, but none of his space was like that. It was all like weird, creeping around corners. Nothing even. It just, I've always had a thing against like people who don't like put some time into their display. You're spending a lot of money on games. Think of a nice way to display them. I can't do it. Like I don't have enough room. So like a lot of my stuff went into boxes. It breaks my heart. But if you're going to be the world record holder, if that's your thing, then like, I don't know. It just seems like more like Last Gamer, also not a guy I love, but at least like he put dumb effort into his display. I don't even agree with how he displays it all, but
it's disgusting. If you don't know Last Gamer, potentially the guy who, if he doesn't have the most video games in the world, he has the craziest collection who displays it publicly. And within the past few years, he took all of his games, or like most of his games, and he has a separate outbuilding that he keeps his game collection in. And he took them all off the shelf and faced them box art outwards because that's how big the space he is. He has like 20,000 games and they're faced box art outwards. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Can you just imagine having a hanger full of games? Like that's,
oh man,
that's like the amount of space you need. So I like, let's hash it out because like who is on your Mount Rushmore? Like,
well, I think we got to go one at a time. So we're getting to four people.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna pick an uncontroversial choice, Gianni. I'm gonna say Jason Wilson, Dream TR, is on Mount Rushmore.
Okay. Why?
Because he was super involved in getting all the games in the early or late 90s, early 2000s, and he's the guy who found all the NWCs, and he owns every Nintendo game, and he doesn't need to show off all his shit because everyone knows he's got the shit.
Okay, yes, but in today's day and age, like, what is he? He found all this stuff for himself. Did he do anything for game collecting as a whole other than ancillary? Like, he was doing this stuff for himself. Do you need to do something
for game collecting? I mean, he bought out defunct companies and, like, sold a lot of their, like, prototype stuff. Like, he was super active on Assembler Games and selling, like, one-of-a-kind stuff like that.
Look, I mean, Mount
Rushmore, I mean, if you're going to argue that Dream TR is not on it, maybe that wasn't as obvious a choice as I thought.
I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just wondering, like, does he get edged out by anyone? Because sure, there's a lot of stuff that came from him, but like, he's not very active. He doesn't show his stuff. Like, his lists aren't public. He didn't like the Etler list is probably more important than what he's done.
I think Mike Etler could be on Video Game Mount Rushmore,
but
or Game Collecting Mount Rushmore.
Well, but he only did it for like Nintendo. Like who? Like that's what I'm saying. Like how big does the scope need to be?
The influence of Etler's list can be felt today on every stupid ass Nintendo list that has 2 copies of Impossible Mission 2. There are 3 variants of Impossible Mission 2, but we have exactly 2. Every list has 2 copies of it for some reason, and it's because that's how Mike Etler listed it. Because there were 2 publishers.
So I would think I could probably put Mike Etler on that list. Like I could probably be convinced of that. Well, this is a discussion. I don't have like a solid list yet. I'm just hashing it out with you. So yeah, I could see Mike Etler. Like I can see Dream TR, but I don't know if his public presence, like if his influence is felt enough. Like, do you put Dane on that list for influence?
I don't know. I mean, he does have a WATA pedigree named after him.
Yeah. Like, do you put Dennis on your Mount Rushmore?
No, because I think Mount Rushmore is more foundational than that. Like, it can't be like, I don't think I don't know what's like a modern game collector guy on YouTube. I don't know, but it has to be someone like that was active before the past like 10 years. So I know video game collecting is older than 20 years, but How old is video game collecting really? Tops 30 years?
30.
So I would say someone from 1990 to the mid 2000s is where we're going to build our Mount Rushmore from.
Okay, like, and the other thing is, I don't have enough knowledge about all the Atari people. Also, we're going to be interrupted here. Sorry. We were talking about who goes on the list,
All right.
and you said Dennis Kahn doesn't because
Dennis Kahn does, like, if we were going up to modern times with like WADA, like maybe like because of WADA that would eventually make it, but I don't know. I don't like. I'm not going to put someone that rose to prominence in the past, say like 4 years. Up on Mount Rushmore already.
I wouldn't say he rose to prominence in the last 4 years. I mean, he was prominent before that.
Oh yeah, I know he was, but like his like true impact on the world was obviously a lot of games. And,
yes, and so you're pre-WADA. The people on Mount Rushmore have to be pre-WADA because they're founders, right? More like founders.
I mean, I'm thinking of older things in this.
So does Dane not count for Nintendo age? Was that not a big enough thing?
I don't know. I mean, top 4 just for making a forum where everyone contributed stuff.
And the problem is we're so Nintendo biased.
I'm trying not to be Nintendo biased. Here, I've got maybe an underdog pick for you. Let's get 2 underdogs before I tell you who are 2 people that are definitely going to make it that you're not going to be happy about. One, what if Nintendo Twizer? And I'm not even saying this for his contributions to gaming. That one fucking picture, there's like 2 pictures of his collection. A collection that he sold. He no longer has this collection, by the way. But they're so prominent in game collecting that it's like...
Yeah, everybody knows this picture. Yeah.
If you look, I'm going to look up game collection on Google Images, and I bet his picture's in like the top 3. Oh, yeah, it is. It's number 3. You know, it's the world record guys now, the top 2. But it's that. So it's Nintendo Twizer's collection, and then there's that collection with like the games on the floor. That's full of like Atari and Genesis stuff. I don't even know whose collection.
Oh yeah, I don't know who that. I've seen that picture.
That picture's been like all over Digipress. There's like some pictures where like there's like a kid in it. Like, man.
Yeah, that picture's super old, and I've always been like, who is this?
I'm sure people know who that is, but yeah, I don't know if Nintendo Twizer makes Mount Rushmore, but I do think there's an interesting case to be made just because like literally those collection pictures are so iconic that's the only contribution he might need to have made.
What about speaking of people who made an impact? What about first world record guy?
First
Michael
world record
Thomason.
Guy, the guy where there's the picture of him holding his world record?
No, Michael Thomason, the guy who like you see him. Yeah, it's like in his lap and he's got a bunch of games around him.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about him.
Employee guy. And like he said, he sold it for $1 million, and then, you know, I don't know. Like, the problem is I don't know.
Johnny, I've got one for just because I want to get you out of your Nintendo bias. What about Mark Bussler? This is a weird one because I know he's had like a meltdown and like maybe like something weird happened with him and YouTube, but he made video game content, old game content for like 20 years.
But that's not that's not collecting.
But he owns all the stuff he plays, so he does have a good collection.
But he's not. If that's not about collecting, if that's about playing, he's not qualified.
Not qualified. All right. So let me tell you who's actually on it then, Johnny. I'm sorry to say, Metal Jesus Rocks is on video game collecting Mount Rushmore. I'm not really sorry to say that. It's just the truth. You know who else is probably on there, Johnny? The angry video game nerd, James Rolfe, is on video game collecting Mount Rushmore.
Again, but to me, that's not playing. That's playing. That's not collecting. Angry Video Game Nerd has a collection of video games, but he is not a top tier collector on the collecting Mount Rushmore.
He doesn't need to be a top tier collector. He's so influential. He has probably caused more people to start collecting games than almost anyone else. Just because he's when did Angry Video Game Nerd start? Like the mid 2000s when Game Trailers was a website that people went to.
I also have some personal bias because I have never. I don't watch Angry Video Game Nerd stuff. I'm not influenced by it.
I know. You don't watch Metal Jesus either, but I think...
I mean, I've seen videos from all these people, but they don't affect me.
Those 2 people alone are so responsible for getting probably a generation a little younger than you who didn't grow up with this stuff, sure. Johnny, interested in old games just because they make such good content around older games.
Okay, I mean, I can see your arguments. I don't
And
necessarily
they've got like
disagree.
millions of subscribers, so there's no arguing with that.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I think if you're going to put people like that who are influential and like the formative nature of video games, then I don't know how, because I consider both those people still kind of modern, especially Metal Jesus. Then like, how do you not put Dennis Kahn on there?
I mean, this is a YouTube channel both their YouTube channels started in the mid 2000s, the mid to late 2000s. Dennis wasn't even born then.
Late 2000s for Metal Jesus for sure.
Well,
and he probably didn't rise to prominence till after 2010.
I think putting Dennis on Mount Rushmore is prematurely declaring Wada the winner of video games. I think in 10 years, Wada might not even exist. They could be bought out by something else.
Does not matter. Mike Etler does not exist as a video game collector right now.
You could go buy a video game from Mike Etler on eBay right now.
Yeah, I know, and we've both done it. But what I'm saying is if you're talking about impact and influence, right? There was sealed game collecting before WATA. There's going to be sealed game collecting after and graded game collecting after. But the person who really put it on the map, really changed it, was WATA, right? And if we're just summarizing WATA to be Dennis, then it's got to be Dennis, right?
I'm going to need someone on my side to just argue more with me.
Well, look, I hate that I even have to make this argument, because everyone's going to be like, see, I told you Johnny loves WATA and all this bullshit.
Why are you such a WATA shill, Johnny?
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I'm just looking at impact, right? If we're talking about things that impacted, if you're going to say Metal Jesus impacted and Video Game Nerd impacted all this stuff and Mike Etler because of their impact, then I think there has to be an argument. I'm not saying for sure. And like I said, I'm just brainstorming with this. I'm saying you have to say it's there because it has impacted the whole style of collecting, and it's changed the landscape of game collecting at this point for the last several years. No one even knows what the hell is happening anymore.
It's too recent. That's like saying something that's related to COVID is part the biggest part of American history.
No, but people say the Spanish flu is a big part of American history. And how long did that last?
But that wouldn't be on the most important events in American history, Mount Rushmore.
We're talking in a much smaller spectrum too. American history is a much larger, surface area than the last 30 years.
I'm going to say
collecting is only like 25-ish years, really 20 years.
We could put Dan Maresca on Video Game Mount Rushmore before we can put Dennis Kahn, because Dan Maresca sold the $100,000 Mario that kicked off all this garbage. So we can still link him to this.
Oh man, you're really trying hard to disclude this. I don't know why.
To disclude? I mean, look at every Nintendo Age e-zine, and how much did Dennis contribute to that compared to how much guys like Dan Maresca and Dream TR contributed to those? And I mean, Nintendo Age e-zine, obviously, a niche part of game collecting compared to giant Metal Jesus YouTube channels.
Listen to my argument here. If you're not going to put Dane, who housed all those e-zines, who was responsible for all that, you want to put the people who were sub to that above Dane?
Yes.
That's ridiculous to me.
Yes, I'm in. Let's do it.
No, absolutely not. I just don't think your order of operations makes any sense.
Dane,
if this is your...
I'm biased too, because Dane's out of game collecting. So at this point, Dane
but that doesn't matter.
It's Dane was a web host.
Yeah, Mike Etler was just a guy who wrote a list, a bad list,
an important list that influenced Dane's list on Nintendo Age.
And Nintendo Age had the e-zine.
We need to research. This is a terrible question, Chris. Why did you ask this? We need a list of influential game collectors, and we need to write pros and cons of putting them on Mount Rushmore. Because we're only working with stuff that we worked with off the top of our head. Right. So when Johnny is telling me that Dream TR didn't do anything for anyone, I need to come up with my big list of things that Dream TR contributed to the hobby. So I can have a counter argument.
I don't know if Dream TR did or didn't, but I don't have a lot of people telling me, oh, the stuff I got from Dream TR. But I know other people who come up and say, oh, I got this from this person or this person or this person. I don't know if this was one of those bait questions. Are you so arrogant you would put yourself on that list? And I absolutely would not. So yeah,
I'm always going to Game Over Johnny to find the latest blog posts on game collecting, though.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm not going to say I've had no influence, but I wouldn't put myself on Mount Rushmore.
All right. Well, that would be the worst episode. What am I talking about? No one wants to hear about. We have to like explain who these people are in like detail to people who don't know. I hope like people didn't just shut off the episode because people are like,
they probably
who the fuck
did.
is Dennis Kahn?
Yeah,
because we didn't even. Dennis, by the way, if anyone doesn't know, founder of Wata Games, also active guy on Nintendo Age. Famous picture of him holding a Stadium Events cart he found for cheap.
I mean, he also contributed a lot of information too, like to collecting before that. Like that's so it's like underselling all of that accomplishment is a little. You see,
I know. I'm not trying to. Obviously, I know Dennis is influential in the game collecting information world as well. But when you're narrowing it down to the top 4, you got to make the tough cuts.
Yeah, I mean, you're like narrowing it down to the top 4, but like, let's
and meanwhile,
put
I'm like,
Jesus
Nintendo
there.
Twicer, he took 3 amazing pictures. And that's all it takes. You know what? Upton Sinclair wrote one book that anyone cares about, and you know his name.
Yep, he wrote The Jungle, for those of you who don't know which...
Come on, everyone knows good old Upton Sinclair. I'm pretty sure he wrote Oil too, which There Will Be Blood is based on, which is the best movie of all time. So people might know that too.
All right. Anyways, we don't have a good answer, and we just argued for 10, 15 minutes about how bad our answers are. Sorry, no good answer is coming. The end.
All right. That's the end of that section, Johnny.
Woo, we did it! All right, now bore me with all the things you bought and all of the things that you played. But before that, can I just, since we're kind of on this train, can we just talk about how bad that video was from X-Play or G4? Like it's G4 X-Play.
Come on, are we really going to do this?
I just want to throw out that Gerard, the completionist for X-Play, threw out this super muddled, worst information video I've watched in a long time about why it's expensive to collect retro games and who all the villains are. And it was comically bad. And Gerard, the completionist, is a guy who plays and completes video games, isn't necessarily a guy who collects video games. So I got a lot of emails and messages about asking me about this from people who just they're not really collectors, but they like games. So they're just in the gaming world that are friends of mine. And they're like, oh, what was this video? And I was like, what is this video? Why am I? Then I'm like, what is this? I'm like, is that Gerard the completionist? Does he work for X-Play now? G4 I know is back, but are they actually doing things? Because I haven't seen anything. And is this it? Is this when I knew less and I used to just watch X-Play and stuff? Did I just get fed information incorrectly? And because I didn't have enough knowledge, I was just like, yeah, that sounds good. And just went along with it. Oh my God, the world is doomed.
Yeah, if you don't know, there's this new on the G4 TV YouTube channel, because who watches cable TV anymore? There's a new video basically about why the high-end game speculation is ruining video games forever.
Well, that's not how it even prompts itself. It just says, why is retro gaming
they don't even answer
so
that question. It's called, why is retro gaming so expensive? And that's not what the video is about. It's basically paraphrasing the kind of things that Carl Jobst brings up in his videos.
Absolutely that.
Carl Jobst, I think, obviously went into those videos with an agenda, but did his best to understand it from an outsider's thing, even if he gets some things wrong because he's an outsider. And this video just paraphrases things and clearly is not interested in actually learning what is happening. They're just I only watched actually about half of this because it got pretty.
It's real bad.
Stupid. The part that I thought was the funniest was when he said that the $100,000 Mario was bought by a cabal of 3 investors, and it was Rich Lecce, Jim Halprin, and Dennis Kahn. And saying that Dennis bought the $100,000 Mario makes it sound so much worse than Zach Geig, who owns a game store, is the guy, the third person in that group. But making the third person in that group Dennis makes it sound so much worse. And then immediately after it, he said that all these games fetching record prices, I think they're coming from Rich Lecce's collection. And it's that is not where the Mario came from, and that is not where a lot of this random shit came from. So I don't know. It's
And
just
also, it's not about collecting necessarily. Like the premise is, why is it so expensive to play retro games? And it is super not expensive to play retro games. It's super expensive to own sealed Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And old games. Like, it's not, these
So
are not the same things. It's crazy.
He goes and he posts like a $35 copy of Donkey Kong 64, and then an unsold buy it now, to be clear.
Yeah.
And then in the next frame he posts like some $1,000 like promo, some kind of Blockbuster copy of Donkey Kong 64, and he's like, the prices are out of control.
Yeah.
And no one bought the $35 copy. You can still go buy that Donkey Kong 64, and a cartridge of Donkey Kong 64 will never be prohibitively expensive.
No, especially since it came with, like, if you don't know Donkey Kong 64's history, it came with that expansion pack, which everyone needed. So it just sold a boatload, and people have bought and sold all the complete copies to cannibalize that for their needs.
Yeah.
Over and over. So you can find carts of Donkey Kong 64 all over the place.
And then he just like searches for Nintendo on eBay and sorts by highest price. And he's like, look at all these games. There's a Mario here for $1 million. And it's like, but how much is a copy of Super Mario Duck Hunt? Because that's the game people want. That's for now until the end of history. A cartridge of Mario Duck Hunt and Mario 3 are like the two keys to getting into Nintendo. And fucking until those are like over $100, and I don't know that will ever be the case, it will be perfectly easy to play on original hardware with original games, even discounting the fact that nearly everyone in history is okay with going to the internet and downloading a ROM of Super Mario Brothers, even if that's technically illegal.
Or you could buy a Switch and pay them the $20 a year and just play it.
Or just buy any Switch game, because all of them are re-releases and compilations of old games now.
Yeah, it was a really mad.
Why are we talking? It's just another one of these stupid videos. You make me feel like I got to defend. Like
I know. I don't think
things
anyone
that they're wrong about. But that section of the market sucks. But man, if you're wrong about it, now I got to call you out for making a bad video.
But like, I don't know why XPlay was even jumping into this, and I don't know why Gerard the Completionist, who is not a big time collector, like I don't know why these people are in these waters. But they have a lot of influence and sphere, so it's like, okay. They said, and a bunch of people listened. If you look at the comment section, and I have friends asking me, it's like, oh God, here we go again. I like more of this dumbass shit. Don't watch this video. And yeah, you could talk about speculation markets and like whether they're bad or good, and like all the sins that these people have done. And like, it pains me to say this, but go watch the Carl Jobs video. Don't watch this one, please.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah, that's all. I just thought like this was more funny to me than like alarming that we had to address. It was like, oh my God, how is that video so bad?
What were we even? Are we talking about what are we buying? What are we playing? I think let's just move on from this fucking YouTube video.
I wanted to bring that up because I thought it was hilarious.
Johnny, what are you buying?
What are you buying and what are you playing? Nothing. I'm not buying anything. What are you buying?
I received a game, Gianni. I'm very excited. I think it's
what is it? What is it?
Potentially one of the most collectible games in my collection. Saying that from a sense of a lot of like the nicer stuff I have in my collection is dumb bullshit that no one cares about, like that rare Yoshi's cookie. This I think is probably something that some nerds out there care about. Johnny, I got a personal software release of Zork for the Apple II, not the Apple II, the TRS-80. Apple II came out a month after. Come on.
Hey, Tyler, do better.
Yes.
I would like people to know, and I know it's going to surprise people, but Tyler and I both had this on our watch list.
What?
Oh. We talked about this when you were talking about your buying Zork, and I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that copy.
Oh, on like save searches, you mean?
Yeah, yes.
You saw? Wait, this is the game you saw before me? I could not believe that you saw this before me.
That's the one I sent you the link, and you're like, this one.
Because I got this within like maybe 2 hours of it being listed.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, and that's the one I asked you. I'm like, oh, did you already buy it? The $1,500 one or whatever it was? And you're like, yes.
So, all right, let me go over buying it first. So it was listed by a guy in Canada with zero feedback, and he listed it in a way where only Canadians can buy it. And this is something that happens when you have, these new eBay sellers. Sometimes like they don't accept credit cards or something, and it's like difficult for you to buy the game. And you have to like message them and be like, "Hey, your listing is screwed up in some way. I don't know. I'm not eBay, so I can't tell you how it's screwed up. Can you like fix your listing so I could actually buy this?" Personal software Zork is pretty rare, and I'll go into what exactly it is in a minute. But I wasn't going to risk that, Johnny. So I went and I logged on to a Canadian proxy service. Like, I talked to people that didn't even know that Canadian proxy services existed, and I had him ship it to a Canadian proxy service. So I spent an extra $45 to get this shipped to me just because I didn't want to risk someone else purchasing it while I messaged him to try to get him to ship it to me directly, Johnny.
This is a good buy. I'm impressed with this one.
So Zork is a really early interactive fiction game, text adventure, originally a mainframe game. I'm guessing most people listening to a game collecting podcast know what Zork is. If you don't, kids, go look up your video game history. But originally it was like this gigantic mainframe game. I don't know a lot about the original Zork. But then they wanted to sell it commercially. So the very, very first commercial release of Zork was for the PDP-11, which is a mini computer, which if you saw it, you would call it a mainframe because it's like the size, it's like bigger than a refrigerator. But it was very popular. And apparently they only sold under 100 copies for Zork just because, it's not like a commercial gaming isn't really a thing yet. So they sold under 100 copies, and the only thing that exists is a single known surviving manual from that release. So there's not even a disc from that release. So the very, very first release of Zork essentially does not exist, except digitally. You can just go download it. After that, Zork was so big that when they were porting it to home microcomputers, they split it up into 3 games. That's why there's Zork 1, 2, 3, and they all came out one right after another. Because the original mainframe Zork was actually all 3 games in one, which I could not even imagine because Zork 1 is like big and hard to comprehend alone. Anyway, the game was made by Infocom, but they hired Personal Software to distribute the very first baggy releases of Zork, which I forgot. I don't remember the story, but they basically weren't happy with Personal Software, so then they just took over publishing and marketing the game themselves. So these very first Personal Software copies are pretty rare, Johnny. There is a TRS-80 Model 1, TRS-80 Model 3, and then a little bit later there is a small box Apple II, and they all have this Barbarian on them. It's super cool. It's pretty rare. The blog posts from like Zork enthusiast sites say that between the 2 TRS-80 copies, they made about 1,500 of them.
Pretty rare.
Pretty rare. Cool. Pretty cool. I'm pretty excited, Johnny.
I'm excited for you. I wish I had.
I can't believe you have a saved search for this.
Zork is important.
It sure is. It's hard as hell. I remember playing it in high school because text adventures are one of the things that was super easy to play without teachers realizing what you were doing.
Yep. All right. What else did you buy? Anything else that you want to talk about, or is that it?
Kind of it. I got some stuff in Japan and the UK that has not arrived. You know what? Did I talk about my Amiga games that I got? I got a shipment of some Amiga stuff. I got like Worms and Another World, I think is the most exciting thing I got. Like, I could list you these games and you would be like, I have no idea what the prices of any of those are. I got Worms, Sensible Soccer, Sensible World of Soccer, and Another World. And Sensible Soccer, Sensible World of Soccer, not very expensive games. Worms was probably like $20, $40. And Another World, it's like $100 video game. So,
wow,
those are all Amiga games. But I wanted the first release of Another World. I also want a first release of Prince of Persia. But you know what? Who knows? It's like hundreds of dollars now. It's like 500,000. I don't know what an original Prince of Persia costs, but it is too much money.
Seems like it's probably a lot then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got nothing, Johnny, after I'm talking about all this nonsense?
I don't have anything exciting here. I'll tell you what I bought. Okay, so I went to a bookstore that sometimes sells games, and I bought like 20 games for like, I don't know, $10 or something stupid like that. And they're all like Xbox 360 and like Wii games and PS3 games and PS4 games. Not super exciting.
Space in your house.
Yeah. All good titles, but like not super exciting. Like there's like a Sonic in there for 360, and it's stuff that's fine. It's not stuff that I like want to take a picture and be like, look at this cool stuff. It's like a stuff I'd take a picture of, like, look at this value I got. I'm excited to buy them, but also I'm a garbage man and put all the shit in my house and I don't have space for. So that's not very exciting to talk about. Oh, here's one. Thanks, Josh Byerly, for this. I got a SpongeBob game. Have you heard of SpongeBob?
No,
you
what's
ever
that?
heard of SpongeBob? Well, he lives in a pineapple under the sea.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, that's the one. Anyways, it's Truth or Square. And for some reason, it has a game piece on it. It's got like a sweepstakes, like on the side of your McDonald's cup, peel and see if you won type of game piece.
Sure.
And it's on the front cover of this game. And if you ever see it with this, it's always peeled. It's always peeled. You're like, oh man, someone peeled it. Because of course they did, or it's sealed. This one, for some reason, is open and it's not peeled. And I got it because Josh Byerly showed it to me. And I was like, that's cool. I didn't even know it had a variant.
That sounds like something that's totally awesome.
Yeah. So,
although Truth or Square?
Yeah.
That sounds like a strangely teenager-ish adult theme for a children's SpongeBob game.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was. I don't know. I don't like SpongeBob. Anyways, I thought the variant was cool just like because not even that it's SpongeBob, but like that type of variant existing with these game pieces like that, I thought was cool. So that was what interested me.
That is cool, especially complete in box. Like you didn't have to like buy it sealed. And it's like, all right, well, obviously it's sealed. No one picked it off. Like, no, you found someone who's just like an idiot. They just like did not care.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. So the other thing I got was a bunch of squished games. The Game Boy Advance games. I showed these off in our Discord. But yeah, not like super exciting titles. But it's like Top Gun and Dora Explorer and Zapper. Two of these games I needed, and I got them like a very good price. They're all complete in box, had their posters and things like that. Like, oh yeah, awesome. Except they put them in a bubble mailer, because of course they did, and they shipped them media mail. And like, let just to everybody out there, and they're like, oh, media mail's cheap, so I want to say, like, guys. Oh, I just said it. Anyways, media mail is bad for multiple reasons. One, you're not supposed to send games that way. And here's why you don't want to, even though it's cheaper. Because what is shipped media mail? Big, heavy books and magazines and chunks of paper. Your delicate game boxes, especially that you're trying to put in like dumbass bubble mailers, are not going to survive in the squish amongst all these other giant heavy packages. Do not send them this way. This is a bad, like, don't do this. They will be damaged. Like, we talk about, like, the joke, oh, they could be shipping a bowling ball and land on it. They are guaranteed shipping something that weighs more than bowling balls if they're shipping a bunch of books. Don't put your games in there because they're going to get crushed. Anyways, yeah, that's what I bought. A bunch of crushed games. I will say the seller was like, I sent him a note, made my case to him. I'm like, hey, man. You shipped these media mail. I didn't ask. I said I would pay to have them shipped in a box. I don't know what happened here. I don't know what the disconnect. Maybe it was just holidays. He instantly just refunded me and also apologized. Just said, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm going to refund you everything but the shipping. I'm sorry about that. And that was it. And so it's like, I wasn't happy about it, but then like my total cost out was like $4. So I was like, well, okay. So
I still get mad every time I saw those games.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will. Like, I did the best I could to, like, get them back in position, and, like, I put them in a box protector, so then they look better, but, so.
Johnny. Yeah. You know what I got for Christmas on my wish list?
I forgot we didn't have Christmas stuff on here.
I didn't keep a good list of all the stuff I got for Christmas, including Ninja Gaiden Master Collection and Waifu Uncovered from Johnny Iuchi. Thank you so much, John.
You're welcome. Show me you love them by playing them.
The Switch release of Undertale from Fangamer. I am 8-bit, one of these websites.
Fangamer.
It comes with like a little locket and a big chunky box. And man, Undertale is a computer game, but I got the Switch game because it says Nintendo on it. And I actually played it. I'd never played Undertale before. I just know it's like a popular game, and it has like this kind of weird distribution. I'm sure this is not even remotely rare, but it's not like in Best Buy, right? You buy it from fangamer.com. So yeah, like, all right, I'll get a Switch Undertale. Well, at least I'll make someone else get it for me for Christmas. And so I played through Undertale, Johnny, and I played through it 3 times. And I think Undertale is probably the best new game, like not counting like Diablo 2 Resurrected, the best new game I've played since maybe Divinity Original Sin 2. Nowhere near as good as Divinity, but Undertale is a super good game, and I totally get why the kids like it, Johnny.
Told you Undertale was good.
Yeah. So, man,
and
it's
you
like
waffled on buying that for so long.
Oh yeah. I like it so
year.
much. Like I'm considering buying the PC version because that, like, man, when you beat the game, the first time, like the game like takes control of the window because the game runs in a window unless you press full screen. It does like weird stuff. It's like, man, this is a stupid, shitty computer game that someone made. It runs like one of those like EXE games, if you know what those are. They're like Sonic fan games that are all shitty. It feels like a game that one dude made and distributed on like itch.io, and I kind of love that. But yeah, like did you beat Undertale?
Yeah.
Did you just do like a normal beat? Did you go through and do like the genocide and save everyone runs?
I just did a normal one. And like, I want to,
good.
It's a game that I have like, I should go back and replay this and do more, but I didn't have the time when I was doing it. So now it's just been on my backlog for.
Why are RPGs not like this? So usually an RPG, it's like, 30 hours long. And every time I go to it, it's like, fuck, when am I going to beat this? Undertale is like 5 hours long tops. And it's so like jam-packed with secrets and things that change when you play that's like I wanted to play it multiple times because it didn't feel like a slog to get through. Man, 5 hours. Everyone, limit your games to the 5 best hours you can make.
It wasn't just stat grinding. They just give you opportunities for more.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
I was ready to just play through it once. But so... really, I wanted to see the Sans fight. So Sans, if you don't, everyone knows who's. I'm the only person who has not experienced this. I don't know why I'm talking about it. Like people don't know. Sans is the famous meme boss that all the kids make memes about. Like, here comes Sans. He's such a hard boss. And just playing through it normally, you do not get to fight him. You have to kill everybody in the game to fight him. So that's the reason I played through it again. And then that was so good that I played through it a 3rd time and saved everybody.
You did it. And this is like pretty funny, but I literally just got 2 more messages about that stupid G4 video from separate people.
What? Are people just like messaging you about like what's going on YouTube?
Yes, dude, I get so many dumb messages like this. I'm not saying people are dumb for messaging me. They're like, people think I have a valuable take, and I'm flattered and I appreciate that. So I get asked questions, but yeah, it's not a great video.
Man, anyways. Yeah, I mean, your opinion is valuable, I guess. People message me about like big box PC games and obscure stuff. They're like, yo, it's so cool that someone else actually is into this. No one's asking me like, oh man,
I asked you lots of questions.
Sale last week.
I mean, I ask you all kinds of questions. I think your takes on things are very interesting. So probably why you co-host this podcast. Yeah. Whoa.
Johnny, I played through It Takes Two with Ada. That game's pretty good.
You said it was pretty good, and I was like, what is this game? Let me go research it. And then I'm like, oh, I own this game.
Did I already talk about this on the show?
No, we talked about it personally.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you won the game of the year. Man, it's not like the craziest thing ever. It's a puzzle platformer. It's just really well made. And what it does is it changes the style of gameplay every 10 minutes. So you're not always doing the same thing. So it's like a puzzle platformer one at some point, and then it turns into like an on-rails segment from like Sonic Adventure where you're grinding down rails, and then it turns into like an overhead gauntlet style game. So it keeps it interesting. It does a lot of just like, it puts physics things in the world that are fun to play with that have like no purpose other than to create your own fun with. And it's always great when games do that kind of thing. So like immediately after beating it, I'm like, this is like kind of fucked up in some ways and really cool. Like Brothers, Tale of Two Sons. And it was totally made by the same developer. I did not look into this game at all. I just bought it because I was looking for co-op games.
I hate to tell you this, but Waifu Uncovered is a co-op game that you can play with. You could play with Ada. I'm just saying.
No, she doesn't. I don't think she would like a shooter.
Oh, it's not strictly a shooter. You guys are going to love this game. Play it together.
Okay.
Also, it gives sexy time. Like, who knows? Who knows? Just making your day sexier. Anyways, yeah, that's what we played. That's what you played. What did I play? Call of Duty. I played some Call of Duty because I was frustrated and I was like, let me just shoot some things. That's what I did.
Which Call of Duty? What's the hot new Call of Duty? Vanguard?
Vanguard is the hot new one, I guess, but I was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remake. So that's what I was playing. And then I was like, oh man, like I played through for a couple hours. I'm like, okay, like they don't cycle through the maps very well at all. And my theory is that they put you in mostly the longer maps because they don't have enough people playing. So you just get cycled through the same shitty maps over and over again, or it's like based on your internet speed. Mine isn't great. So maybe I get always put in just like dumbass giant maps that always take the full 10 minutes and never go to score time. I'm like, but I want to play some of the quicker maps. Anyways, I got Vanguard. There's a lot going on there. I don't know what the hell's happening. And I just felt like an old man. I was like, what is this Vanguard and how do you play it? Yeah. So I've been trying to muddle my way through that. It feels like, I don't know if it's pay to win, but they want you to buy a lot of extra stuff. And I was always just like, can't I just grind? And apparently the answer is no.
I mean, they're doing the thing, Johnny. They want you to spend all the money. They're going to get it out of you somehow. I just want them to add a physical aspect to it.
Yeah.
Johnny, Pat the NES Punk, Mount Rushmore of game collecting.
So influential, he was kicked off Nintendo Age or left begrudgingly. I don't remember.
No, he also left begrudgingly Video Game Sage, I think. Is he older than the Angry Video Game Nerd? No, he is not. I meant in terms of channel age. Anyway, I'm just
I thought
joking.
they were kind
Pat
of
the NES Punk
contemporaries.
probably pretty decently influential, even in terms of like information. You could argue his books. I think his books are good. They're not like the most informational, but they're good information. But I think the anecdotes are super good. The write ups, they're not just Wikipedia back of the box type stuff. Johnny's pretty good.
Okay, like I'm not dismissing.
I randomly had a tab still up from when we were talking.
Yeah,
so I wanted to.
I didn't say no way on Pat the S Punk. I'm like, there's an argument to be made. I think he's contemporaries with Angry Video Game Nerd, and he did like early collecting videos, of like his finds and stuff. So, I mean, I think you could definitely make a case for that. Does that shock you? People think I don't like him or something. It's like just because I don't necessarily.
Everyone.
Well, no, people get this wrong. Like, people think that because I dislike some of the content or the style of presentation means that I dislike the person. I don't have feelings normally about the people unless I like say so. Like Metal Jesus Rocks, I think did some stuff that like is pretty questionable and like a little gross, and I don't like that. But like Pat the S Punk, like I guess he's had an attitude, but I've met him a couple of times and like. Didn't always go great, but I'm not like, God, I hate Pat the NES Punk. I'm just like, and I don't always disagree with his takes or anything. Angry Video Game Nerd, I don't like the character, but I think James Rolfe has a lot of information. And, when he's just like talking about what he knows and like his passion, I think that's like really interesting and good. And there's a lot of like good ways to see what he knows, aside from that channel. So there is a separation between content and person that some people don't make, but I do. There's nuance there. That's all.
All right, Johnny, is there anything else in this episode that's going on?
I don't think so. Just make sure you watch that video on G4, right? No? Okay.
No. What's eBay Collections? Why did I write this down? I think this was a thing I wanted to start the episode with because it would have been an interesting thing to talk about, but I forgot to bring it up.
I think eBay Collections isn't that like about cards and like what they're doing in the market and a safe space to buy them, and isn't that they're like new bent like with sports cards and shoes?
Oh, okay. So yes, you're right. It's just cards right now, but actually, Pat the NES Punk and the CU podcaster, he did a segment on it, so now it will seem like we're ripping them off.
Cool.
So we probably just shouldn't talk about that.
Done.
But we should talk about it, Johnny. Like, Game value now and price charting are garbage. I don't even look at them anymore. They are useless. But if eBay becomes the arbiter of prices, then I
mean, they
think
already
that could
are
be
the arbiter of prices.
Well, yes, but what if they actually had price history that goes back longer than 3 to 6 months?
Gave you graphs,
and it was more accurate than...
I think it's really easy to do for cards, but we talk about the same problem that all these sites have. Until they solve the problem of what games are and how they are different than cards, you're not going to do it. Games come in too many different states.
So
games come loose, without a manual, with the manual, CIB. Like, there's too many different ways.
No, that is a solvable problem. I think that is a very hard problem to solve for a guy in his basement coding in his spare time.
True.
But for someone who wants to turn it into like the platform for tracking collections and prices from a giant site like eBay, I think they could do it.
Yeah,
or at least they could do a much better job than anything we've seen before.
I think if eBay started like, when you put in like not letting you list an auction until you list it, like check, does it have manuals? Like, does it have inserts? You know, which would be great. I would love it if you had to go through a checklist, like has manual, has insert, you know, has all the stuff. Game is, and then they would say whether the game was complete in box, and then you could filter down to things that are complete. You know, I think that would be great. eBay could definitely do it, but they need to solve that first by doing some other things. They can't just go back and look at all of their history and be like, we have the answer, because that's not true. And then they would need to like look at like, okay, these are sealed but also graded versus just sealed, you know, and then like, how do they do that? Do they just say sealed graded games on average are this, and sealed graded or sealed games average on this, or do they break it down by the number?
I mean, look at trading cards. Every trading card is fucking graded that they're going to be looking at. They know the difference between PSA and all that.
I think it's just on eBay to make sure that sellers have to go through the rigmarole of listing all that, and does that benefit them, right? Like, does like putting in extra hurdles to sell a game benefit?
No, they're
eBay?
just pulling this information from like images and descriptions and heuristics and stuff. They're not making sellers upload more information. Okay,
I mean, they could have definitely an algorithm, you know, that scans a picture and then deems that, but not all pictures are great. Like, how many? That's what I'm saying. Like, you could put it on the sellers a little bit to like make sure that information is in there. So, you know, they could. There's ways eBay can do it. I'm saying there's ways to solve it, but they have to solve it before you can just do it. It's not just like as easy
they're doing it with cards.
Yes, but we just talked about cards are a lot easier.
I mean, they are. But I mean, I also think they could do an imperfect job that would be good enough for the majority of people to start tracking collections and prices on eBay.
Haven't we been dealing with good enough for long enough?
No, we've been dealing with so bad it's basically unusable. I think like eBay is not going to miss their own sales, and also eBay, they have all the data going back to like the year 2000 or whatever. They can give us as much data as they want. Like, they don't, like, if you were starting up a new price charting, you'd be fucked, because like price charting and game value now go back to like 2008, 2011 or something. So you can't compete with them anymore. The data's gone. But eBay is the one place that still has all the data. Anyway, I think it's interesting. It might never come to games, but it seems like if the hype in all collectibles stays high enough, this is something they would want to bring to as much stuff as possible.
Okay. I don't disagree. Look, we love eBay, and like, if they can figure it out, they definitely have the best tool to figure it out, right? They have the best starting place. So please, I'm begging for anyone. I was all in for Go Collect. I'm like, can you fix this? Please do it. I'll root for you. I'm a fan. Let's do this. How can I help? And then they're like, nah, fuck you guys. And I was like, well, that was disheartening. It's like, all right, price charting. You guys have always been a little suspect in my mind, but sure, maybe your stuff is good. And they're like, nah, just anybody, please somebody track games and their values in such a way that makes sense to the world.
Yeah. Man, I mean, like, the information would be there if you get enough of it, but like, looking at trading cards, like, I was complaining, this might have been on After Dark, not complaining, but I was like, how many comics are there? This comic sells for $1,000 and there's like 20 of them listed on eBay. What is going on? But like, trading cards are an entirely different beast. There will be like hundreds and hundreds of copies of the same trading card, so they just have an immense amount of data. And if I was going to go look up complete in box copy of The Magic of Scheherazade, there might be like a couple copies up that would be good information data points. So for all these cards, they must have just so many data points.
True.
I think Gixxon releases, they release what categories are the most sniped categories, and I think sports and trading cards are both top
absolutely.
Categories. Yep.
Has to be.
Such a good commodity, Johnny.
Yeah, get those alternative assets, guys.
You can find me on Instagram and Video
Wow.
Game Sage. I'm default GEN, guys.
And you can find our other co-host who isn't available today, but he is the Art of NP. You can find him mainly on Twitter, but also under the same handle on Instagram. So give a look for him, and you can find me at Johnny_Iuchi. And I am on Instagram. You can also find me as Johnny on the Discord. So if you want to join up on our Discord and get into our Patreon, you can do that for as little as $2 and as much as $6. But do it at the $4 spot because that's the best one. And get all that bonus content and get onto our... Like, really, the thing is to get on the Discord and chat with all the fantastic people that are there. If you want to support the podcast, if you have money to waste. If not, please avoid it and please keep enjoying the show. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next time, and sorry for the sick voice. Bye!
That is our show. No errata for the week. I don't think we are perfect. Thank you to 8bit, apebit.bandcamp.com. He does our amazing intro music, and thank you all of the patrons. Richard, patron number 1, Bowden, Canadian Variant Alert, Chris Glidden, Nintendo World Champion, Daniel Jacksvik, High-End Collector, Andrew Brim, Greetings, stranger! I'm not surprised to see Andrew Shelton around here. Guys, it is so hard to come up with nicknames. Oh my god. That's Deckard Cain from Diablo. Boy, I hope people pick up what I'm putting down. 50 Hertz is good enough for me, Andre. Ben Parker, a bad enough dude to rescue the president. Video games were meant to be slabbed. Brandon Ackley, Brian Gupta, and Pocky and Rocky with Becky. Mint condition, Brian J. Mora, the strictly limited super rare Bruno, Fat Cat Collector, Chris Jackson, Chris SNK, Too Many NES Accessories, Mrozek, Johnny's GBA Hookup, Coffee with Mr. Saturn, Playing with Power, Connor Strange, the last game you need for the set, Corey O'Brien, Unpunched Hang Tab, Dustin Beagle, he has returned to judge this city, Eric Addison, Man of Nintendo in the world of Nintendo, Funky Brewster, the actual Shinobi, Jasonic the Kid, Jeff the Game Boy Ferris, Red Pyramid Thing, Jonathan Shados, the Nintendo Tape Archivist, Joseph Leo, Lance Lord Hardstyle Z, the Degenerate Matt Fall, Mr. CIB, get your loose Genesis carts out of here, Funko Land Employee, Platform Agnostic, Red the Game Shark, the Famicom Box Retro Game Enthusiast. They could be ghosts and goblins twice. Chefish. Vintage video game connoisseur who knows they're better than modern games. The Fuzzy. Sean, the Gamer Collective. The New Craft who can beat Mega Man without the pause trick. Previously unknown variant Tim Walker. From the internet, Todd Fisher. Can't put limits on collecting. VG Collectaholic. The Millennium. Will Joe. Keeper of the Zelda variants. Dev Code. He said on Video Game Stage not to pronounce 0x in a totally unrelated thread. I don't know, I've been saying it for like, a year, so I'm correcting myself. Am I talking to myself? Does anyone even listen to like this outro of the show with the Patreon shoutouts? Like maybe there's one guy in the shower who has like a podcast on in the background and you can't go hit the next podcast button. Shout out to the guy who's currently unable to reach his podcast controls. You know, you could just say like, hey Siri, or whatever the Android version of that is, okay Google, right?
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, shut up. Getting the full PS2 set because Stefan won't. All caps. No gods or kings. Only Andy Lancaster. BioShock. I really hope people get BioShock references. That game's like super popular, right? What a 9.8 A++ Benji. The actually rare Bird Dog Gaming. Brandon Rogers, whose favorite episode is the wrestling episode. Dropping the Mario 64 penguin off the map. Brandon Chacker. Still finding deals in 2022, Colton Murphy. A winner is him, David Green, Derek Lauer, who made me edit this show, Don Libby, the hero of time, actually understands the Zelda timeline, Jeff Pierce, he is Error, Jeff Russell, Jeremy Jarvis, here for the Pog Talk, Joe actually plays his games champ Pity, video game art collector because video games are art, Justin Chicchio, Lateral Movement, who's got a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up, Michael, posted in the Discord right now, Chiaramonte, Nick the Video Game Database Morgan, Homebrew Mastermind Divertov, the other guy who collects Korean releases, Peaceful Games, Dungeon Master Reed Stubenik, The Promoter, Retro RPG Podcast, Todd Obscure Variant Chaser Chase, Zaventorian, he knows all 97 Nintendo games, 32 bits or less, do the math! Andrew actually collecting N-Gage O, Chesno, all your base are belong to him, Colby, he is Sinistar, Corhagen does what Nintendo don't, Daniel McArdle, who thought this was the Retronauts Patreon, the Modern Database Danny Gomez, the Philatelist Dork Overlord, my childhood PlayStation idol Game-Rave.com. I hope that nickname doesn't make you feel old. It's just because I'm young. I mean, man, you've been the PlayStation guy forever. Joseph Rogers got 50,000 on Double Dragon, collector of everything, including Atari, Kalen McAteer, Sam, Sega Mark III Marks, and Sean the Video Game Illuminati LaCroix. Thank you guys so much.